I remember that.
I was out having fun.
And then the 80s came around and it said, it's 11 o'clock. Do you know where your parents are?
Ah,
Okay, so I'm going to get this meeting started. Okay, here it comes. As a preliminary matter, this is Ray Pohl, Chairman of the Nantucket Historic District Commission. Permit me to confirm that all members, or at least the ones present at the moment, and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. So members, when I call your names, if you could respond in the affirmative. And I've got my little cheat sheet here. Okay, Diane Coombs.
here.
Very good. Thank you, Diane. Val Oliver.
Here.
Thanks, Val. Carrie Thornwell.
Here.
Great. Stephen Welch.
Here.
Fantastic. And Ray Pohl for the record. Staff, when I call your names, if you could please respond to the affirmative. Kadeem McCarthy.
Present.
Very good. Holly Backus.
Present.
Harry Norton.
Present.
All right. Thank you. Other speakers on tonight's meeting will be announced as the applications come up. Okay. Good afternoon, good evening. This open meeting of the Nantucket Historic District Commission is being conducted remotely pursuant to Chapter 20 of the Acts of 2021. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will not feature public comment. For this meeting, the Historic District Commission is convening by video conference via the Zoom app as posted on the town's website, identifying how the public may join. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and that all attendees are participating by video conference. Accordingly, please be aware that other people may be able to see you and to take care not to screen share your computer. Anything that you broadcast may be captured by the recording. All supporting materials that have been provided to members of this body are available on the town's website unless otherwise noted. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda unless the chair notes otherwise. Before we get to the first item on the agenda, let's go through some ground rules for effective and clear conduct of our business and to ensure accurate meeting minutes. The chair will introduce each speaker on the agenda. After they conclude their remarks, the chair will go down the line of members, inviting each by name to provide any comments, questions, or motions. Please hold until your name is called, and further, please remember to mute your phone or computer when you're not speaking. Please remember also to speak clearly and in a way that helps to generate accurate minutes for Terry. For any response, please wait until the chair yields the floor and give your name before speaking. If members wish to engage in any conversation with other members, please do so through the chair, taking care to identify yourself for the record. Also, before I hear what the members have to say, I will afford public comment to those members of the public who have joined the meeting via Zoom. The public who wish to speak must state their names and be acknowledged by and speak through the chair. Finally, each vote taken tonight will be done via roll call. Thank you all very much. And our first order of business, as it is every week, will be to vote to approve tonight's agenda. Can I have a motion to do so? Thank you. Diane has made a motion to approve tonight's agenda. On that motion, Val?
Aye.
Very good. Carrie?
Aye.
Thank you. Stephen?
Aye.
Diane on your motion?
Aye.
And I'm in favor. Motion carries. First, we'll move right along to consent now. Little bit of a difficulty unless, has anyone else joined, any other board members joined since all that?
Don't think so.
Yeah, I don't anticipate, the only person I can speak about is Abby, who won't be joining us for a while at least, and maybe perhaps for the entire evening. But there are at least two people, including myself, that cannot vote on the consent agenda. If there is anyone other than myself and Carrie that cannot vote on the consent agenda, we're going to need to do something fancy. But
Mr.
I think,
Chair, Jesse Dutra's here.
Jesse Dutra. Welcome, Jesse. All right, so there it is. For the record, Jesse Dutra has joined us. Thanks. And we're heading into the consent agenda, from which I and Carrie need to recuse. That's it, right?
Yep.
Okay. So Diane, if you can share the meeting,
Yep.
share that aspect, it would be Val, Stephen, Jesse, and yourself.
Right. Okay, get a motion to approve the consent.
So moved.
Thank you very much. Val,
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
Jesse,
Aye.
and I'm an aye.
Okay.
Mr. Chair,
Thanks. Who is that?
Kadeem.
Oh, Kadeem. Yes.
So we do not have any recommendations for the sign at this time, and BPC is not going to be here today, so I am asking that we hold those 3 applications coming up next.
So holding the signs plus the first 2 under new business?
That's correct, Mr. Chair.
Okay, can I have a motion to do so?
So moved.
All right, and just for the record, we have 3 regular members and 3 associate members, so it's going to be like a double rotation for the associates. So on that motion, I would have Carrie and Stephen, as well as Diane and Val. So moved came from Val, right?
Yep.
Okay, Val's made a motion. On the motion, Diane.
Aye.
Thank you, Carrie.
Aye.
Stephen.
Aye.
Val, on your motion.
Aye.
And I'm in favor too. Motion carries. Okay, how about 117 Orange?
I'm here.
All right, fantastic. So Lindsay, in your rotation, it's going to be, that was Stephen. I did Carrie and Stephen. Now it's Stephen and Jesse. Stephen and Jesse are on yours, as well as the regular members.
All right. So essentially what we're going for is, you guys all know this building, I'm sure.
I think it was John McLaughlin's house.
It was. It's also
Yeah.
the old video store, and it's been a lot of things recently. So now it's Isaiah the gym. What we're proposing is a patio space in the front of the building that's bubbled in where the cursor is, and a fence to hide it from Cherry Street and from the parking area, as well as some evergreens. And then we're also asking for a gate. We're trying to enclose that backyard space, and we're going to remove the walkway and flagpole there as well, and plant some new trees along the sidewalk. Now I know that so that's kind of the long and short of it.
Does this have HSAB, Holly?
Yeah.
Yes, sir, it does.
Okay. I'm gonna go for it.
Absolutely. So yes, this is a circa 1854. I know the assessor's information is a little off, but this is the former actually mission school, which was established in 1859, and it moved into this building in 1866, just a little bit more before it was the Orange Street video and the McLaughlin family. Actually, before the McLaughlin family, the Backus family lived in there, my husband's great-grandparents. So needless to say, it has obviously precedence in our old historic district. HSAB took a look at this on October 25th. And on the hardscape, the proposed new patio and 6-foot fence next to Cherry Street is too close and should be moved several feet off the street. The 6-foot board fence should be reduced to 5 feet. The proposed grid-like patio stone is too formal and should be an irregular shaped stone. I agree the bluestone patio is too formal for this location. and too close to Cherry Street. I agree with that 100%. The existing privet that's actually shown there in this location should actually stay along Cherry Street to give you that seclusion that they're looking for, and agree with HSAB that the 6-foot board fence is too tall. I had a question if the existing brick was staying. I think so. I just wanted that confirmation. Those are the comments, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Hey,
Yeah.
Lindsay, just quickly, could you address the brick thing?
Yeah, so we're saving all the brick that's there.
Okay.
The plantings that go along the road are actually going to be, evergreen, so that it will get more screening. So that's definitely the plan. Yeah, and we're open to like changing the pattern of the patio to like a random pattern as opposed to just the grid-like. I think as long as it's just a flat, even surface, we're totally cool with that. I mean, the idea and the reason behind the fence and the screening is so that we don't want anyone to see the patio anyway. It's more of a private little patio is kind of the goal.
Okay, thanks. Holly, back to you for a second. Was your sense of HSAB that the material choice was wrong, or that the shape of the material was wrong, inappropriate?
Mr. Chair, they had mentioned that the grid-like stone is too formal and it should be irregular shaped stone.
Okay, so irregular bluestone is okay.
Correct. And Mr. Chair, the vegetation that I was referencing is actually in number 7. Kadeem, if you could kind of, zoom into that. That existing evergreen that's.
Yeah, that all stays.
Right. But actually on the plan, the taller version up towards what used to be the cut through, I guess, that seems to be not shown on your plan. So it looks like it's being removed.
That's going to remain. And then the fence, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. So it's interesting because your patio, of course, is all bubbled in red conspicuously. And then this, remove the incline and the verbiage about the brick. And then this picket fence, type 2 picket gate. But there's no reference to a fence.
No, it would not be a fence. So that gate would.
So there is no fence.
There's no fence where it says picket gate. No, that's just evergreen screening, and that's just to kind of like act as a gate to stop the public from going back there.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
The only fence that we're proposing is around the patio, the bluestone patio area.
That's the natural cedar board fence, 6 feet high?
Yes.
Okay, well, thank goodness that HSAB picked it up because they mentioned it. But see, that should be bubbled, friend.
Well, that's why we bubbled that whole area, because that whole area, and then we called it out.
All right, well, that wasn't clear, at least to me. I mean, you bubbled the language, remove incline and brick, that kind of thing. So anyway, this does include a 6-foot board fence around this whole area.
Right. So we could go to 5 and 1 if the board.
Let's hear what the commission has to say about this. So it's Stephen and Jesse, Val, Diane, and myself. Who would like to start?
I'll go.
Okay, thanks, Diane. Go ahead.
This house is looked at primarily from Orange Street. I know it goes up Williams and comes down Cherry, but why is the existing propane tank on the front facing Orange Street? And then we have a line of privet, I guess, between that and this thing. There's no solid privet like that there now, and I'm not sure you're going to be able to maintain it. If you look at the planting around the existing buildings at the moment, and why is the necessity? How big is the parking? Where is the parking?
Oh, it's all those diagonal lines on the bottom of the sheet.
Okay. Okay, so that is behind. I don't think there should be a 5-and-1 or a 6-foot fence along this property at all. This is on Main Street. This is a historic building and
Well,
should
on Orange Street, actually, but
Orange Street,
yeah.
on the Main Street. And
Oh,
I
yeah,
think
yeah.
it should be maintained in that respect. You've hidden everything or tried to hide everything with privet around it. But look at your own pictures of this building. It's a building part of the landscape of Orange Street, and it should not be spent quite so much time hiding it behind and doing stuff. The bluestone, I should be, if you could allowed to use the bluestone, it should be irregular. So it fits in with an 1850 house. That's what we're talking about. This is one of our historic houses, and I feel strongly that should be supported that way. They're not changing the facade of the house, that's fine, but the outside landscaping needs to be more the way it is now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Diane. How about you, Val?
I don't disagree with what Diane said. I'm more concerned with the row of the arborvitae or whatever it is, consuming that corner, which is a little precarious at the moment anyway. I don't know. And I do agree with HSAB that the fence on the side of Cherry Street should be behind the hedge that's there. And yeah, I agree with Diane.
Okay, thank you. Stephen?
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Yeah, okay, well, I agree and I disagree. So where I disagree is I think the 6-foot fence on the rear, if there is vegetation, I think that the would be acceptable given it is on the rear of the structure, which meets our guidelines. It would probably be better if it was a 5-and-1, although the 5-and-1 is not a historic fence. And I think it would be better if there was some type of vegetation that wasn't evergreen shrub, but a vining plant material, so that that area just isn't overwhelmed with plants that grow, hedge style plants that are going to have a tough time being contained in that small space, along with a fence. I think visually those would be competing elements. I understand we're not here to judge landscaping. On the Orange Street, which I think is much more important, I agree with the other commissioners. I'm concerned about modifying the presentation of the facade by adding evergreen that will block off. Could we go up to the imagery? Yeah, perfect. Orange Street view 2. Closing off the secondary entryway, at least visually. I'm not necessarily suggesting the brick has to remain, but partitioning off that whole corner from Cherry Street or William Street all the way over to the front, the right corner of the primary mast, which is the corner board you can see to the right of the front door. It's too much. It's too much. So those are my comments. Thanks, Mr. Chair.
All right, Stephen, thank you. How about you, Jesse?
Well, yeah, Stephen basically said what I thought on the backside with the 5-and-1 fence. I think arborvitae is an overkill over there, and if we do a 5-and-1 and vegetate the outside of it on also the Cherry Street side, so you have screening on both sides. I think that would go a long way. As for the front, I agree that an arborvitae hedge would look awkward there, but at the same time, I don't know if we have any authority to say what kind of plants we could put there. But it would be my preference to see something more traditional, like a privet or something a little lower, and that won't get overgrown.
Okay. That it, Jesse?
Yes, thanks.
Very good. Who is that?
Ray, I'm here.
Oh, John. Hi. Hey, yeah, so we're on an application, John, but hang in there, okay? I'll get to you in a second.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Okay, Lindsay, I'm not loving the 5-foot high fence and, kind of agree with everything else that was said, including the concerns by HSAP. So it sounds like you've got a couple of things you want to do to modify this plan. Do we want to have this come back with some revisions?
Yeah, and I have another comment, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, go.
I think we have forgotten, at least I had, and now I'm looking at the floor plan. We approved a French door facing Orange Street where that single door is. So more screening is probably better there.
Who's we?
We as a board.
Oh, thank you.
That's why we're extending the plantings all the way across.
But that's not, could I mention also something?
Yeah.
If you look at what's there now on the Orange Street 2, view 2, it's what's been there. If we have to, what are we hiding? Why are we putting up some unknown thing that all of a sudden we can't say what it is? To hide the front of this building, which is one of our historic buildings.
Yeah.
What's planted there now? It's what belongs there. You got the tree, which they can't take down, and this is what it presents itself to Orange Street, and this is what, as closely as possible, I feel should remain.
Mr. Chairman, could I comment?
No, John, you're not on this one. You just came in halfway through. We have a board, but we're about to hopefully motion for some revision. Yes.
I'll make a motion to hold.
Hang on, Lindsay's raising his finger. What?
So just a couple of things. I just want to summarize just so I have clear direction when I go in to make my revisions. So it sounds like some board members were okay with a 5 and 1 as long as it were vegetated and screened naturally, either with a vine, climbing vines, or privet head, or keep the privet heads that's there, which was our original intent. Going to more of an irregular style bluestone. Would you be open to the type of stone you see on Main Street, the Goshen, like that old?
Oh, that's fabulous stuff.
So because that still kind of gives that flat look, but it's more keeping with the old.
I mean, it was used all up and down Main Street. So
Right.
in terms of historic precedent, you got it right there. So yeah.
And then as far as like the Orange Street view too, to Val's point, there was a what's it called? A French door that was approved. And so that is the reason why we're trying to enclose that backyard, because now you're going to have a French doors kind of facing Orange Street. Now that was already previously approved by the board. And the idea is to so it's a gym now. And the idea is to kind of capture that outdoor space more for the gym. So.
It's not that much outdoor space there.
No, fair.
No.
That's very fair. That's very fair. But I think in that property, every square inch counts.
Well, listen, Lindsay, I think you kind of covered the what seemed to be the most important parts. Can I have a motion for some
I make
revisions?
a motion to hold for revisions.
Thank you, Diane. On the motion, Val.
Aye.
Very good. Stephen.
Aye.
Thank you, Jesse.
Aye.
Val on your motion. Oh no, Diane on your motion. I'm sorry.
Aye.
And I'm in favor. Motion carries. Thank you. Bye, Lindsay.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Hi, it's Stephen. I just wanted to apologize to Commissioner Oliver for my spontaneous exclamation during her, to interrupt her. I thought I was muted. Thank you.
Oh, did you,
Well, she had said that we had voted to put in French doors, and I said, who's we?
Who's we?
So I didn't.
Oh, that. That okay. Yeah. Well, I've heard worse, Stephen.
It's all good.
Yeah, okay. Thanks. All right, moving right along now, 23 Broad Street. Matt?
I'm here, Mr. Chair.
Okay, so here we have it for the time being. We have Diane, Val, John, myself as the regular board, and it's Carrie's turn at bat. So that's your board for 23.
And am I on this?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, you ready to go?
I am. So I think you're all familiar with the location. It's the former Brotherhood restaurant that was added to in 2005. There's a fairly significant addition towards the rear L here. So the majority of the work that we're proposing is this in the center section, which was basically rebuilt from the foundation up back in 2005. It also includes the demolition of the existing awning that you can actually see in the existing conditions on the south elevation here. The highlighted area just shows areas of demolition. So
you mean the awning that we approved not that long ago?
Correct. Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what year it was, but I think it was in the last.
It wasn't that long ago, really.
No,
A couple years ago. Yeah. Okay.
So the plan is actually to demolish that and then do an addition. So on the south elevation, we're actually clouding the area where these existing vertical V-groove doors are, but we're really not changing any fenestration or doors in that area. The clouding just refers to the area that of the awning that was removed. We are proposing to do a small shed addition with this 4-pitch roof off the left side. And that's primarily to add additional bathrooms to the area. So I'd say the majority of probably the potentially visible portion, I would actually submit to you that this back section of the property is almost, I don't think it's visible from the public way. I think maybe if you kind of stood at a certain perspective, you might be able to get a shot, but it's pretty far back from the property, hundreds of feet actually. I think that the primary area that we would want to focus in on is the west elevation. And you can look at is sheet A2.2. Thank you. So you can actually see the existing elevation at the bottom of the page, existing west, in our proposal. So on the left side of the elevation, you'll see there's a 1-story bump out. Again, it's a bathroom addition, fairly simple, fairly benign. The majority of the work is the center section. And two things are we're looking to add this elevated deck for a couple of reasons. One is to add a second means of egress outside of the building. The owners are also looking to create a connection to the patio to kind of connect, provide a visual connection between the two spaces. Operationally, not that this matters for the board, and I know that there might be some people here to talk about this project, and I think more about the use. But for what it's worth, operationally, there's no real, there's a desire to actually keep people from the patio not going into the restaurant. But so it's basically, I just want to give you some background on why this deck is there. And we're proposing to add 3 gable dormers and this covered porch in this deck. Now, since we've gone to the planning board, heard some feedback from the neighborhood, got some feedback from HSAB, although HSAB didn't really have an issue with what we're proposing. The owners are looking to omit these 3 dormers. These were just clear story transom dormers. And we did actually, I do have a version of this to show you, but the idea is that these 3 dormers go away and the covered porch goes away. So it's just the deck. So yeah, I think Kadeem just showed you that was a schematic.
The covered porch goes away as well.
Yeah, so it would just be a deck and the fenestration on that first floor. So
okay,
I know it's something that we submitted probably 5 weeks ago, and so kind of a lot's transpired. We got some feedback, and for a number of reasons, we wanted to just omit those dormers. So, in the interest of not wasting everyone's time, just wanted to let you know that we will be omitting those dormers at some point. So, I believe that is the scope of the work, Mr. Chair. That's all I have. Thank you. I'm sure there'll be questions and happy to answer them. Thank you.
When you said it, omitting those dormers at some point, at some point is now, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we had submitted this 5 weeks ago, so we'd have to submit it as a revision. but-
Oh, I get you. Officially, yeah. Okay.
Officially, yeah, because I know you can't. I just want to let you
Okay.
know, so if there's any comments about the dormers, we're already prepared to.
We shall see. All right. So thanks, Matt. And then Holly, HSAB.
Yes, Mr. Chair, thank you. So as everybody's aware, this is the Brotherhood built after the Great Fire of 1846, Greek Revival, 2.5-story clapboard on a high brick basement, ridge chimney, pilasters and corners, supporting entablature, 3-bay facade with pediment, 6/6 windows. I'm reading right out of Clay Lancaster, if you haven't figured that one out. And enfranements with Greek ears, entrance on the west side, which is, something to really consider, that the entrance of this structure is not on Broad Street. It's actually off of. It's pretty cool. All that to say, HSAB had no concerns regarding the proposed porch. Their comment would be that they would like to see the French doors separated and reduced to 3 and changed to a 12 light with a lower panel versus what's proposed. I wanted to mention for the commission, just a reminder that there are comments from abutters who I believe are in attendance this evening. Matt had mentioned that this has gone through reading with the planning board. And I wanted to just mention too that from staff's perspective, although the structure has had some changes, and thank you for providing, I can remember when the last changes were in 2005, but although the structure has had some changes to the rear, I was curious on what the age of the existing back L changes were. I do know that there is an HDC survey for that main, I guess, where the bar area has been. That actually is a historic structure that was converted, I guess, at that point. And I was going to say that the proposed porch with the dormers actually are consistent with the additional ones on the main block of the historic structure, but I'm glad to hear that is going to be omitted. Those are the comments. I just also wanted to mention that should this require revisions from the commission, that I personally, not the HSAB, but I recommend this to go back to HSAB for their consideration if you are so inclined. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, very good. Thank you. All right. I believe that there might be some neighbors who would like to speak on this application. If so, please unmute yourselves, and don't do it all at once. We'll do one at a time and announce your name for the record, and I can hear you.
Hello, this is John Pressman.
John Cressman?
Pressman with a P.
Pressman. Okay. Yes, John, go ahead.
Hi, Mr. Chair, and thank you for the floor, and appreciate the time today to speak on this application. My wife, Roberta, and I purchased our home last year, right in the heart of the historic district. We're at 2 Ash Lane. So we're right on the north side of that property. And one of the reasons we chose to buy a house in the historic district was the historic character of the neighborhood. In our minds, and I think in the minds of many people who live on Nantucket, there is just nothing like it, not only on the island, but frankly in the world. This design, as it's currently contemplated, really, in my mind, goes against much of the aesthetic in the historic district. The open deck of nearly, over 300 square feet, there really is nothing like that in our district. And the parachute-like umbrella awning, again, there's nothing like that in the historic district. It is certainly viewable from Broad Street. And I really do view at this point that we are at the tipping point. We're at a critical juncture in whether we're going to decide to preserve our history or abandon it. I think if you approve this design as it's currently proposed, we're taking a huge step in the wrong direction, and one that will abandon the historic character of the architecture of the neighborhood. The Brotherhood, as it existed, was a wonderful structure, a wonderful building. What they're trying to do with their architecture right now is to really transform what was a neighborhood tavern into essentially an entertainment venue. And I do think the Historic District Commission has a purpose here to preserve that history. And I implore you to exercise your right to really refine these plans and to demand that they be more in line with the historic culture, aesthetic, and feeling of the district in which we live. If we don't, this will set a basement, and a very dangerous one, for future plans to be reviewed by your board. And it will really mean, in my mind, the end of what we love about the historic district. It's already a district that I think is threatened in the same way many of our beaches are threatened with erosion, and we don't want to erode the historic district any further. Thank you. I'm happy to answer any questions if you have. We've also, I would say, have provided a written response. I would ask that you look at that. If you look at the pictures that have been submitted by the applicants, those pictures, in my mind, only confirm the point that the grand renovation they propose is out of line and out of character with the neighborhood as a whole.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Pressman. And you said something there that I would like to ask about. You mentioned an awning, an umbrella-like awning. I remember one being removed. I don't remember one being added.
Keep going in the application.
What?
Keep scrolling in the application.
Okay, got it. So,
Yeah,
so one's being removed, but another one of a different nature is being added.
Yeah,
Correct.
Mr. Chair, if you're familiar with perhaps the very famous Coney Island parachute ride, it's very reminiscent of that. It was shown at the planning board discussion 2 weeks ago, a watercolor version of this that frankly looked something like extraterrestrial. So to me, it's very out of keeping and out of line with the historic character of the district.
Okay.
I do believe, and I can't say this enough, that this is kind of a watershed moment. This is one of the most well-known restaurants in town. It's one of the last of its kind. I mean, I literally have been going there since I was a kid personally. Many of the restaurants that I associated with the Brotherhood, like Vincent's and Arrowhead, they're no longer. This is really the last one. And if we let this one go, we'll have nothing left to fall back on.
Okay, thanks again. Anyone else would like to speak on this application, please unmute. Okay.
I'm surprised there were so many letters.
There were a lot of letters.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was having a little technical difficulty.
Oh, well, you're not anymore. We can hear you.
Thank you, Chairman Pohl, for letting us speak. My name's Ann Lingaman Davis. And just for background, my parents bought 10 Ash Street in 1965. The earliest part of this house actually dates from 1740, and it is less than 30 yards away from the Brotherhood on the Ash Street, Ash Lane side. I have an interest in preserving this neighborhood because I have known and loved it my whole life. And I think in considering this application, the historic background of Ash Lane and Street is important to mention. Both of these streets appear in the Coffin Survey of 1799. And of course, Clay Lancaster recognizes some of Nantucket's earliest houses on these streets. They still exist because the Great Fire did spare, sort of lapped at the edges of Ash Lane, and these early structures are still there. So, you know, sometimes forgotten about, the Ash Streets compose one of Nantucket's most historically significant neighborhoods. I'm puzzled by a few aspects of the plan. Where are all the mechanical systems for this expansion going to go? When I look at the north elevation, which is the elevation on Ash Lane, I don't see the existing large, let's see, do we have the north elevation there?
There's north.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, the north elevation. The existing large industrial metal stack and vents are not there on this existing plan. And what about the receiving area, also noted on the application on the Ash Lane side? what is all this going to look like from Ash Lane? Let's see. And what about the awning and central bar submission? It would be nice to see this as the whole package so that we can sort of assess the impact from Broad Street. I think the application as it stands now is kind of incomplete without this sort of central pivotal thing that isn't part of this application. But also principally, I'd like to ask the commission to consider issues of setting with this application. I know you cannot comment on usage, but preserving the setting is part of your mission. The proposed expansion in this historic neighborhood will be detrimental to a visitor's sense of place, the historic context, the setting. It will erode what this board has been working so hard to preserve and protect over the years. Thank you for your efforts.
No, thank you, Ann. So if I understood correctly, on the north elevation, you're saying that there's already some exhaust hoods and so forth that do not appear. Okay. Like if we look at the north now, they're
not on there.
No.
I don't know why.
Okay, got it. Could we see the site plan again? And in between, while we're waiting for that, is there anyone else who would like to speak on this application before I turn it over to the board?
Hey, Ray, this is Roberta St. Timor. You know, week after week, we have had a lot of neighbors that have signed on. And if you remember last Thursday, there was a lot of us too. So there just might be, miscommunication on, the right time to join. So I just want to also speak on behalf of all of them, because I know that you have received upwards of 11 or 12 letters from those neighbors. So I would like you to just, make sure that you guys do read those because it is so important. And like my husband said, we are right abutted to this property. And for us, we bought our property. The previous owners put HVAC systems in. And unbeknownst to us, when you guys came to look at closing out a different permit, they asked us to box in those HVAC lines, right? Into keeping the preservation of the neighborhood. And my husband and I did it without question, because that's what it meant for us to own this property and keep the historic aspect of this neighborhood. And I just feel as though the proposed drawings and everything that they're doing is just not in keeping with the historic district of Nantucket. To propose almost a 10-foot patio from where you could see on the street, there's nothing like that in the historic district right now. And the sole purpose of that deck is to have seating for patrons to be on that. And so I know that they're removing the covering of it, but that still doesn't remove a 10-foot deck that you can see from the street that Brotherhood has never had. And the whole reason why that Brotherhood Tavern got its name was very historic for Nantucket, right? The Brotherhood of Thieves. So I just really, from the bottom of our hearts, from the neighbors' hearts, for the people who were not able to make it on this call, as you have a couple of us and, all the letters that you are going through right now, please try and think and keep in the historic mind of Nantucket and why we all love this place and why we all, treasure it and want to live here. And think about that when you are approving these plans.
Okay. Thank you, Roberta. Anyone else?
Yes, Martha Perry, Dennis Perry.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you very much for allowing us to express our views on this. Martha and I moved to Nantucket for the summers in 1993. We live at 45 Center Street, which is at the corner of Center Street and Ash. Our back doors meet the Lingamans, and we are within an earshot of everything that goes on downtown. I understand that you can't comment on use, but I will start my comments, which I'll keep to a limited time frame, by saying that you're being asked to talk about or being asked to evaluate changes in architecture that relate to a business model that has no business coming to the downtown. The changes that you're being asked to evaluate have a great deal to do with a significant change in capacity. And that capacity has contributed to the desire to have alternative forms of egress. It's contributed to this balcony that will be modified with a covering or not. There is the discussion of this awning or this umbrella that looks more like a parachute ride, as has been said before. There's also a proposal, as we heard at the planning board, to move the bus, the jitney, from the brewery that currently goes to the visitor center, which is congested, and to take that problem and just move it to Broad Street and to have a cut made in, a cut place off of the road so that the jitney can come in, drop people off after the brewery closes at 7 o'clock and have them come to their in-town venue. Now, the idea of taking a road that's already severely congested and by adding a turnaround so that the jitney can come in and go out and then drop people off begs the question, why would we even consider doing that? Architecturally, what will it look like to have a cut? What will it look like to have a pen set up for the people that are being dropped off, which we heard is being designed so as to limit the number of people that are actually going into the new location. So there's a cut on a street that's already congested, that we turned into a one-way street a couple of years ago because the two-way just wasn't working. It's a feeder street into the town, and now we're going to slow up traffic by having this cut going into the property. Secondly, the idea of it's not visible from Broad Street. The cut's very visible from Broad Street. The bathrooms, which are a function of the increased capacity of the proposed location, are very visible from Broad Street. The pen area that is going to rope off the people who are waiting to get in is very visible. And then there's no reference so far in this conversation to the stage that's wanting to be built. A stage so that they can perform live music. That in 2015, the town had the very good sense to say, we're not going to do that. And now we want to bring loudspeakers in. They will be visible from Broad Street as well. So the fact that they want to remove the dormers, I respect that. The fact that they want to take the top of this deck area off, I respect that. I'm not convinced that we need the deck. I'm also not convinced that we need a parachute-like umbrella. I'm not convinced that we need a cut. I'm not convinced that we need a pen area to literally contain people in the downtown of Nantucket.
Where is the pen area?
I know, I don't see it either.
I'm not finding it.
They will have to explain where it is, but they went to great lengths to say that the jitney is the problem. They're going to bring the jitney in off the property, and they're going to pen people in so that they can't just mill through the restaurant and the outside area.
Is the pen the so-called transport waiting area? Is that what that is?
I can answer that, Mr. Chair.
That would be great, Matt.
Yeah, that was the intent. And I would also say that, again, we submitted these drawings 5 weeks ago. We've had a review with the planning board. We've had an opportunity to hear all the neighbors. Most of the neighbors that are concerned about this project are on Ash, and we've had a chance for them to voice their concerns. And again, I think a majority of these concerns are about the use and the perception of how this is going to be operated. And I think they're all valid concerns, and we're working through those. I would just ask if we could just focus on the architecture.
I do appreciate that, Matt, but at the same time, the use influences how the property is going to be laid out. And that's where my comments are coming from.
Okay. And had you finished? By the way, I asked a question about where the pen was.
Yeah, for the most part, I have.
Okay.
Our view is that this is a business model that does superbly out of town, but it has no business being in town. And the architectural implications, I think, are clear, and how contrary they are to the way the town presently presents. And so we feel strongly that this shouldn't be approved.
Thank you very much. Anyone else?
I'll take it, Ray.
Well, okay. You can, John. It sounds like there's no other neighbors that want to speak at this time.
Mr. Chairman.
Oh, yeah.
May I speak? I'm sorry. It's Charles Graber. We're at 4 Ash Street. We're between Ash Street and Lane. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't stepping on anyone else speaking.
No, go ahead.
I'll keep my comments in opposition brief. I wanted to echo some of the other sentiments. I think it's really been well stated, the issues that many of us have with the architectural changes from Broad Street and the sense that what we're seeing in these plans here in front of us don't reflect the full scope of the changes that have been applied for, especially including that awning, the stage, the pen area. And so those concerns, I think, have been well voiced. I'd like to speak to something Anne raised, and I know Jonathan Pressman raised as well, that regarding the rear, the north elevation of that proposed property, where this is a quiet neighborhood, always has been a quiet and historic neighborhood, and we value that very much. In 2014 to 2015, there was the last application to modify the property, and that included vent fans, which were supposed to be as high as possible, well maintained, and I believe they were supposed to be covered with foliage or some sort of plantings, and that we live with those fans now every day. They're on right now. I mentioned this, by the way, in the planning board meeting. They've been on 24/7, even with the restaurant closed. It's the first thing we hear in this neighborhood when we wake up, the last thing we hear when we go to bed, and no one's even turned them off since then. So it fills the neighborhood with a fog because they really aren't that high. I know that's not architectural, but in terms of preserving the historic sensibilities of this neighborhood and the feeling and the real experience, historic experience. You may be on a cobblestone street when you're on Ash Street, but you're in a fog of burger smoke, listening to an industrial fan that's not well maintained, isn't high enough. We can't dial that back. Unfortunately, there's no unplanning board. There's not, let's get more historic board application that we can make to even address what I think has already been done wrong. Now, in addition to that, we're understanding there'll be additional capacity. So we should expect additional mechanical aspects, more things grilling, right? More smoke, more use of that fan, heavier use, and more apparatus back there, which we're not seeing at all. And so we've got a real concern that it's going to get louder. It's going to be more of a drone, that there's going to be more of a detriment to the historic nature of this neighborhood. And it will also be looking at those things. You can see those fans from our windows, from our yards, from the lane. So I certainly want, the new owners of the Brotherhood, or whatever it will be called, to, I think we'd all love it if they could address what's already there and what's already problematic from an architectural standpoint, from the physical structure. And I'd love to learn more about any plans to reclaim the historic nature and feel of the Ash Lane Street area, given the proposal for additional use. And to be able to see those plans in black and white, as we see so much else in these architectural plans here, to understand what's about to be facing us and on for however many hours a day. Those are my comments. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. John, I know that you want to speak first. Before you do so, I just want to ask Matt a simple question. Matt, what is the status of the planning board?
So we were, the meeting was continued.
Okay, so it's still, it's a work in progress.
Correct. And so we are we're revising plans and submitting them, and then we'll be heard again at the next meeting. And if I could just talk about the mechanical equipment. Right now, there are no planned changes to the existing mechanical equipment. We did not show that existing vent stack. We tend not to show the mechanical apertures on the existing building because there's so many of them, and but we can certainly add.
Well, the interesting thing about that, Matt, is if it's not documented on your existing plans, and then somebody goes out to do an as-built, at the end of your project and sees them, how are they to know that they were there before and that you didn't add them subsequently? So I think it would be in your best interest to show them.
We can certainly add them.
And,
Ironically,
label them as existing,
Yeah, we can certainly do that. I'd say the vent stack is the only.
I mean, that's up to you, but that's usually.
Yeah,
like,
we're happy to
you
do
don't
that.
show a skylight on an existing plan. You say, oh, well, gosh, we didn't put that in. That was there before, but it didn't show up on the old plan. Sometimes it becomes a problem.
Clearly,
So-
we would put a skylight because it's a fenestration. It's mechanical equipment. Again, we typically don't do, but we can certainly add it to the neighbors'
And
comments.
I'm sure we have
It's all
photos.
existing.
I'm sure we have photos in this file as well. Okay,
Certainly.
thanks, Matt. Let John, it's your turn.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Okay, could you go to the, what do we call that? West elevation, please.
All right.
Okay, could we go up 3 clicks, please?
That was 3.
One more.
Oh, 4.
Appreciate it.
Okay.
Okay. I'm looking at the main structure that was here, according to history, is the main large section on the right.
Correct.
All right. My question is this, I haven't looked upstairs above the second floor. I noticed there are 4 gable dormers connected.
Yep.
I'm trying to find where I can find 2 or 3, but the 4, it's too heavy for that roof.
Well, John, those have been there for quite some time, for as long as I've lived here. So those are existing.
No, okay, that's what I wanted to find out. If they're
Yeah, I mean, we haven't looked at photographs of the building, but maybe at a certain point we should. But those are there. I can attest to that.
Okay.
Have been for quite some time.
Okay, let me go where the red is.
Yep.
All right, anywhere on that deck that's there, there's too much glass in each door that's there. So that should be changed. That's something minor. On the left side of that, there's a 369 light over, there's too much glass on that small, rather, that door right there. Now there's nothing on this wall, am I correct? On the left, right there.
Yeah,
That's correct.
just shingle.
It's not a garage, so what is that?
No, it's he's adding bathrooms onto an existing gable.
Okay, thank you. All right, could we go to, that's the west elevation. Could we go to the east elevation?
East elevation, I don't think you're gonna have any change on, right?
Yeah, I'm going to try not to beat it to death. I don't like to do that. All right, this
There's
is,
no change.
is there backside?
Yeah, so the east is what's facing down Broad Street, and there's no change. Everything is on the west.
Okay, this is east.
On the west and the north and the south.
Okay, where is he? I just said enough for the east. Get the right side here.
So John, that's south?
Yeah, that's it. Yep.
Okay, that south is what faces Broad Street. You know, that the piece on the right-hand side, as you identified, that's the old piece. That's where the old Brotherhood, well, I think it's still the front door is down in that basement level. And then that piece off to the left is the piece that's behind Bookworks.
Okay, right now there's it's a 2/2 window next to that door.
Yes.
Okay. All right, could we go to the south elevation? Okay. That's north. All right. I think the north side is acceptable. I need to go to the east side, please.
John, we were just on the east side. There was no change on that elevation. Here we
Nothing
are.
on it. You know, I see some red on the right in the corner boards, I guess. Okay, could we go to the north elevation, please? Okay, north elevation, that's the one that's got, what is in the red, the north elevation?
So John, if we go to the north,
Okay, you see, it's too
On
much
the
glass.
right-hand side, that's that little shed that they're adding on to the side of the existing gable where they're going to add some bathrooms.
Okay,
That's the piece that you're going to see from Ash Lane.
all right, can we go back? That's north. Can we go back to the, what am I calling that? North from west elevation, please.
Yep. There
Okay,
you go.
what I was looking at, okay. Those doors, you should be, you only need one or two doors in that, where it's got the red around it. Yeah, I think that should be changed there, not have too many, you got too many doors there to begin with, and it's the wrong type to have there, I think. And that's my comment on that one. Could we get the west elevation, please, again?
You're looking at it.
That's west. Okay, all right, all right. All right, and that door should be changed to an appropriate door.
It's
That's
already there.
all I'm gonna say right now.
Okay, John. Thank you very much. Val Oliver.
I think it's hard because John couldn't see what was existing next to what,
Yeah, well, that's the
by
problem
blowing
with,
it up 3 clicks. So that was
yes,
Yeah, that's
I
an
agree.
issue.
right.
yes, I agree.
So just to review, unfortunately, transportation and use of structure is not in our purview. I wish it was so very much. But we can only discuss what we can discuss, which is continuity of setting, building pattern, position to surrounding neighborhood, and what's proposed. Is it fitting into that character or is it disrupting that character? So in terms of the architecture, I agree with, I guess it was Holly had said some things. And I like Matt's simpler version without the dormers, because I think there was so much competition between those and the existing, which are funky dormers. But a secondary mass, just not competing with the historic structure, is much more, I think, in keeping. With regard to the large deck and the stairs now have become, from Broad Street, a more visual element. The existing, while they go that way as well, are sort of hidden behind the main staircase. So I think maybe that should go to the other side, which I guess is north.
The other side?
That would
So
be
instead of spilling toward Broad Street, if they
The
spilled
north.
off the back of the deck toward the
Ah,
additive
no,
massing,
I got
toward the
you.
north.
I
they
totally
would
understand.
be
Yes.
less of an element, which is what they've become. Let me see.
I hear you.
I don't understand the overall picture because I do have this blown up in front of me on a different computer screen. I don't see a stage. I see a merchandise shack and a transport waiting area, but not a pen. And the 30 by 28 ginormous umbrella, which everybody's already said, and I don't need to beat it to death. I think that it's nice that you took the awning that's there off, or the closed in temporary, whatever it was. But now it leaves those doors so that they can be wide open to the street. And I'm not sure that that's very congruent with what's in town. I know the Rose and Crown has a series of doors, but it doesn't seem like it opens up to this big wide expanse. So I did think the porch mitigated maybe what was going on in that middle section, maybe noise wise, not sure. And I'm trying to read my own handwriting here. Hardscape, yeah, we need a hardscape plan, I think, which is separate. So probably the gazebo umbrella thing would be on that. And I guess just to reiterate something that Building with Nantucket in mind says, when property owners build with only their own concerns and aspirations, and the result is that the structure doesn't belong in the environment and diminishes what's around it. So that's all I have to say.
Okay, thanks, Val. Hey, Val, you made an interesting point there, because I saw that umbrella thing. That actually will be a separate application because it's not attached to this building. So officially, what's under review right now is the architectural components that are attached to the main building.
Right, but
so
I think
that is a distinction.
it is important to have the whole package, because
No, I agree. I totally agree with that,
Yeah.
but it is, a separate application. I think Matt's getting a sense that that's not going to be a very popular item for anyone. Okay, thank you, Val. Diane. Let me see, is old Diane muted there? Let's see.
Here I am.
There you are. There you are. Okay, go ahead.
To say, I agree with what Val has said for the time. It's a lot to take in and come up with, but I did want to say this because we seem to miss it, and I said it before, and you're probably bored listening to me, but it says, and it's important in this case, to effect these protections, the HDC's mission, its charge under the Act is to promote the general welfare of the inhabitants of the town of Nantucket through the preservation and protection of historic buildings, places, and districts of historic interest through the development of an appropriate setting for these buildings, places, and districts, and through the benefit resulting to the economy of Nantucket in developing and maintaining its travel vacation industry through the promotion of these historic associations. And in these matters, the HCC is sole adjudicatory authority. So if, from what I understand and looked into and gone on with this, that if a building is not fitting in with the existing properties around it, it becomes something that should be contended with. This building, the back of this building on the north side is visible from Ash Street. You can't wipe out the visibility of Ash Street. Also, the people on Ash Street have a right to quiet enjoyment of their property. That's something that isn't written anywhere, but it's something that we have done, that we have lived up to. And with this going on in the yard, it was bad enough when it was smaller. Now a bus system and the rest of it, it does not fit in with our historic Broad Street, which is got a slew of historic buildings that we have spent some time maintaining and developing them so they fit in. And this area in the back, going past the Brotherhood, does not fit in to either the area or to the surrounding area or to the people that have to live on either side of it. And we are able to address this. If one reads all the thing about what we can do, is we are able to regulate and look into what is going up. We have property owners involve the HCC directly or through an agent when they seek to erect, reconstruct, or alter any construction or exterior architectural features, including equipment, component, driveways, and landscape architecture, comes under the HCC. And I think this particular application needs to be examined thoroughly, see that it fits in to the area architecturally or design wise. Matt has done an excellent job for most part, and that is the problem. It is the problem of its setting and its environment. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Diane. Okay, Carrie Thornwell, you're up.
Thank you. I had the same thought Val did about that the
West?
the western deck.
Mhm.
Now will be a deck, I guess, with the roof taken off. But the original one was very utilitarian, just to get up to that door going in. And I think changing the stair around, and I also think making that deck much more narrow, so it really is not an element and is just a passageway in and out. I think there's too much glass on that wall, and I think full French doors are not appropriate. Maybe one set of doors going out and some windows. But I think that will, freeing that area up where the friendship stair comes down from the existing historic structure, would be great to, see that elevation clean as it probably used to be. I also agree with Val in those south big barn doors. I understand that isn't changing that much, except we're taking off the awning and structure that's there now. And the thing that concerns me a lot is that big umbrella, which has nothing to do with historic Nantucket. And I'm wondering if the usage of the deck, the raised deck, if that becomes a walkway, then maybe we get a ground floor porch, enclosed porch, kind of like the Gaslight did, to bring down the use and get it more inside the building rather than have so much outside space with this huge monstrous umbrella. I know that's not part of this application, but it is in terms of maybe changing some of the architecture in the back there. Because what exists now is not good. What Matt is proposing on this on the left piece on the south elevation is good. I just think everybody's concern is not our purview, but there are things that he could do to make the function of that building more inside than outside. I think that's it.
Okay, Carrie, thanks. So my comments, I guess we can stay on the south for now, but most of my comments are on the west. The width, the amount that deck projects out is more than necessary. I also think that if you look at the posts on that versus the posts that are on the existing porch that goes up, the historic porch, and we can see this more on the west elevation, the scale of those posts is much too large. Can you go to the west just for a second? Agree about the dormers, agree about the number of French doors, all that's been said. I also agree with this idea of taking the staircase and rather than have it go towards Broad Street, have it go away from Broad Street so that you don't have that as a competing element with the historic friendship stair that's on the west side of the main building. Now, something that's, kind of obvious here is most, not all, most of the people who are objecting to this are on Ash Lane. By the way, is it Ash Lane or Ash Street? Which is the one that's directly behind?
Mr. Chair, this is John Pressman. It is Ash Lane and Ash Street is one over, but we can
Ash
see
Lane
straight through.
is the one that you guys are on, right?
We're right on the property line, but I can say my neighbors at Ash Street have an equally direct view of this.
Okay.
And one concern, not to in any way impose on your chair responsibility, but I would say if you move those stairs, literally all the crowds are going to be going right in our direction. You're going to be taking up
okay,
making a problem on Ash Lane.
That's unfortunate because what we're looking at is like the view from Broad Street. So, we'll just have to see.
How can that be? There's a building in back of it.
Okay, I actually have the floor right now, and I would like to address the Ash Lane thing, which is the north elevation, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. I mean, can I get it up again?
3 clicks.
It's gone white on.
Okay, not that we even need to show it, but everyone knows that the only thing that's changing on the north elevation is the addition of this shed. So I think that the issue with the neighbors is a lot about noise, seeing all the garbage that's already on the backside of the building that was supposed to have been screened and wasn't, those kind of things. So Matt, it goes without saying that a lot of this, I think, is up to you and your client to work out some goodwill so that the things that we're not in control of, the HCC is not in control of, which is noise and light and all that kind of thing, are mitigated as seen from that back of the property behind on the north side of your property. So I think that would go miles to helping this out. But those are my architectural. I did have one small thing. You said you wanted to remove the porch roof. The one that we're seeing going over that. I mean, why were you doing that? I'm just curious.
Just to minimize the scope. Again, if it wasn't, the dormers were kind of part of it, and I felt like
so the dormers I actually think are kind of aggressive and are competing with the other zigzag dormers that are, I'm not sure completely appropriate. How they got there, I don't know. But so now we have more gable dormers. So I'd love to see those go away. But the porch roof, if the porch itself becomes narrower, which would be my vote, I actually think that the porch roof would contain noise and contain light. So at night. So I think it's a nice element. I just wanted to say that because you were talking about getting rid of it in favor of a deck. I don't think that it's objectionable as an architectural feature. That's what I have to say. So with that, it sounds like we want to move for some revisions. And in the meantime, maybe you can bring us up to speed on how things go at the planning board. Yes,
Take
exactly.
a motion to hold for a vision.
I think that's a great motion, Diane. Thanks.
Thank you.
Cleverly worded. Val Oliver on the motion.
Aye.
John McLaughlin.
Aye.
Thank you, Carrie Thornwell.
Aye.
And Diane on your motion.
Aye.
And I'm in favor too. Hey, thanks everyone for your comments and we'll see you next time. Okay, Matthew, your next application is at 22 Eel Point Road.
Mr. Chair, I'm going to recuse from this.
Okay, so then the two that will sit on this one will be Stephen and Jesse, okay?
Okay, I'll just jump right into it, Mr. Chair. So this is actually part of a property that you have approved the main house, the guest house, and this structure. We are back to add dormers. You can see the existing approval in the center of the page sheet.
You haven't seen 33 Main Street.
Somebody needs to mute. Somebody other than Matt, that is. Go ahead, Matt.
Thanks. Thank you. So this is essentially just proposal to add dormers to an existing approved garage and add an exterior set of stairs that are on the back of the building, which is on the south elevation, that are not visible from Eel Point Road.
Do we have a site plan on this, Matt?
There should be on the first sheet, which is
Love to see it.
201. Yeah, there it is. So the south, those stairs are on the south.
This is the one that was recently approved.
Correct. Yeah.
It's not under construction yet.
Not yet. Not as of yet.
Okay, so there's our little red square. The dormers are going on the east and west sides of that?
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
And the stairs are on the south. Now, I don't think that they're actually on here, but they would be on the south.
No.
Apologize for that.
Okay. All right, now we can look back at the elevations and board members, I'd like to hear your comments on this, please.
I'll take it if you want.
John, go for it, brother.
Okay, thank you. The dormers, they don't seem to lock in the drawings of the 1 foot setback on the that's on the.
Oh, John, you're talking about the 1 foot setback from the wall underneath it?
Yeah, the 1 foot setback.
I believe they actually do, because if you look at the red bubble line that comes up from the exterior wall, you see that the dormer up above it is indeed set back.
Right, but it's going to the peak almost is their problem.
Well, that's different. That has to do with the pitch of the dormer roof. The pitch of the dormer roof is very steep.
Oh, they gotta do something, make a change here, because.
Oh, you mean the 1 foot setback down from the ridge?
They can pull it down from the ridge, but they still have to be 1 foot setback from the wall, the corner. Look at the left one on the bottom, that arrow on the dormer. Go over to the outside wall at the bottom of the stairs.
Yeah.
All right, where that dormer is, it's not, I can't see where it's showing a 1 foot setback.
Okay, it's there. Hey, whoever's guiding this thing, zoom in a little bit for John.
Yeah, it's hard to see.
No, you got, don't move it around, just make it bigger. There we go. Okay, so if you look on the left-hand side of this, you see a wall that has a sconce on it. And the bubble line goes directly above that, and you see that the dormer is actually 1 foot further in up the roof than the red line. So they are set back.
Right.
Okay?
Okay, I'm getting mixed up with the red one.
That's okay.
Thank you.
All right, John, thanks. Let's see, Diane.
Okay, talking about that dormer that you see would be what, the east or the west elevation?
Correct.
Does it have to be so big, Matt? Can we bring it in or separate the windows? So you have a big space from the wall to the window, then between the windows and then out again.
Mr. Chair, if I could answer that, Diane, we could just go to like 3 windows across the dorm or just spread them out evenly. That would help.
I don't know that it would help it make it heavier. I just wondered if the whole thing could come in like 6 inches on either side.
Reduce the overall length by a foot. I could do that.
Yeah, I would suggest that. It would make it a little less hard up on the second floor, I think.
Okay. Thank you, Diane. That was it?
Yeah, for now.
Okay, Val. Oh, Val's off this.
He went off it.
Sorry, yeah, right. Stephen.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. So I think let's see, the proposed west and east are an improvement. That is to say, the dormer views, I think on the south and the north, I actually think it's the exact opposite. I think the ridge height, where the dormer roof meets the main ridge is, it draws your eye to the height of the structure, which I think is too tall to begin with, which I think is why I voted no on it when it first came through, if I recall correctly. I do wish we would have minutes for original applications if there's revisions. And I will add that I don't think it's appropriate to add 6 inches to the grade on the structure, 6 inches plus, as indicated in the application. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Good point. Is that a 6 inches that's beyond where it was before?
That's a very good question.
I mean, is that the original 6 inches or a new 6 inches?
It's not the original application, so I presume that it's an additional 6 inches.
I can check on that, but we did have a revised landscape plan done that was approved by the board. And so I can find out what that is. It's not too uncommon for us though to, when it talks about grade change, to say plus or minus 6 inches, but I'll verify if we're proposing to add 6 inches to the existing grade.
One other comment, if I may, if Matt could check through you, Mr. Chair. The application indicates a height of 24 feet. The drawing indicates a height of 23 feet, 5 inches. So we're looking at a difference, perhaps of an additional 1 foot.
Maybe that could be the 6 inches. So either way, I feel like we're, again, we're talking 6 inches here, but I'll find out.
Okay.
I would beg to differ. It's a foot.
Well, Matt, Stephen's math is coming from 24 feet on the application versus 23.6 plus the additional 6 inches is a total of potentially a foot more than the 23.5 feet.
And to my point, I think that what I'm getting at is that if the proposal was to increase the grade by 6 inches, then the overall height of the structure would be the 24. Whereas the this dimension line is taken from the 8 inches of exposed from the grade. If you added the 6 plus the 23.5, you get close to 24. So that might make what the math is on that. But I'll verify.
Okay.
Does that not make sense? Did that not make sense what I just said? Sorry.
No, not to me, because the application indicates an increase in the finished grade of 6 inches and a height of 24 feet above the finished grade. So
gotcha.
Sequentially, it's a foot, but I don't think we need to beat this to death.
Gotcha. I got you, Stephen. I see what you're saying. Yep. From grade.
Stephen's saying from existing grade, it could actually be 25 feet rather than 24. Anyway, so
yeah, I get it.
Stephen, that was it, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thanks. Jesse.
Could I look at the site plan, please? And locus map, please. Okay. And if you don't mind, I can just probably look at as well as you got this zoomed in. Yeah, the elevations. Thank you. And I'm assuming now that I'm not looking at the site plan, but the south elevation is the back side of the.
South is the back.
Yeah. Right. And honestly, and and I agree with Steve, the east and west elevations are improvement. And then I'm okay with the south and north elevation from the standpoint of the dormers. It's really the stairs that are I think the only thing to me that's less attractive to this application. I'm not going to go into the grade thing. You guys have talked about that enough, but and I guess my real question is, I don't think you're gonna, so there's not much of a view from the south elevation, but coming up Eel Point Road, it would be the east elevation that you would see. And
that's right.
That is not very noticeable to me. So I'm okay with that, but if there was anything that I wasn't okay with, it would be that east elevation view, because you could see those stairs. But everything else, I think, is well within good architecture, and especially I think the dormers overall improve the design. It's just the stairs that are less attractive. Thank you.
Okay, Jesse, thank you. My comments. Agree with Diane on the reduction of the width of the east and west dormers. I think what John, if John wasn't getting at this, I think that given the pitch of the dormers, which I can't really read at this scale, but I think that the dormer pitch is too steep. It needs to be reduced, which would reduce the overall sort of perceived mass of the entire building. Like there's 6 right now. If they went to 5 or even 4, now granted you've got an existing house and you're going to tell me, I'm sure that, you have 6 and 12 dormers on that, but that's water under the bridge. I'd like to see these come down. And if we could get some clarification on the discrepancies with respect to the ridge height and fill, that would be great. Should we have some, hold this for some revisions?
So moved.
I think it's wise. It's almost to the point where it's approvable, but I think there's enough questions on the grade and so forth that needs to get straightened out that we'd want to, have you research that, Matt. So
I think, I'll just find, I guess the question is whether or not the proposal was to raise the grade by 6 inches. And from what I understand, the board would have an issue with that.
Well, you're 23 foot 5 inches. And I feel like we're spending a lot of time on this. If you raise the grade 6 inches and you're at 23.5, then your building is net 24 feet high, which is acceptable for a garage. So I personally would be okay with that, assuming that the 23.5 is the actual number for the ridge and not 24 as indicated on the application. I think that was Stephen's point. So, so Stephen has made a motion to hold for some revisions. Let's see how that goes. On Stephen's motion, Diane.
I would go aye, but I just wanted to tell you, I think that the pitch of the big dormer is 12 by 12 3/4.
Yeah, it is, which is a little odd, but you know. Okay, so you're in favor of Stephen's motion?
Yep.
John, on the motion?
Aye.
Thank you. Jesse on the motion?
Aye.
All right, great, Stephen.
Aye.
And I'm in favor too. Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, 22 Pacimo Road. Board on this one. Val, I don't believe is back. I think Val is noshing right now. So she's going to be gone for a little while. Let's let her eat in peace. So the board on this was going to include Jesse and Carrie. Okay, so let's move forward. 22 Pacimo Road, guest house.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think it probably helps us, actually, I think the garage, oh, there it is. Thank you. The guest house is located on the site plan. You can see towards the south of the property, indicated in red. That's roughly 320 feet or less, or call it 300 feet from the road. It sits behind the approved primary dwelling. This has not been built yet. It is a 1-story pool house / guest house. The ridge height is 16 feet 7 above the grade that it's set on, and all the details match the existing house. Try to keep it low, 1-story, fairly simple. So look forward to comments from the board, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Matt. Who wants to start?
I'll go.
Thank you.
I think this is a very simple little building, and I don't think it will be seen because of the single story nature of it, and it is hiding behind the house, and I believe that we won't even know it's there.
Okay, tend to agree. Thank you, Carrie. Jesse?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think we need to keep in mind, this is a second dwelling and it's 300 some odd feet off the road, being hidden behind a house and acting as a cabana. It also is a second dwelling and it is 16 feet tall.
One time.
Yeah. Is that it, Jesse?
Yes, thank you.
All right, thanks. Hey, John, you ready? You ready, John?
I'm right here.
Yeah, are you ready to comment on this?
Yes, can I see the plot plan, please?
Sure can. There it is. Pacimo Road's at the top of the sheet.
And this is the new garage, isn't it?
No, that's next. This is the guest house.
It's the guest house.
The guest house, which is behind the main house with respect to Pacimo Road. It's that little narrow red building.
Okay, can we go back to the north side? There you go.
Sure can.
If it's possible that it can be seen from the street, public way. If it can be seen, question, it's a cottage. I would question that door as in the main door to change it to another one, not to have all glass door. That's my only comment. Change it.
John, if you go back to the site plan, I think that you would be very, very hard pressed to see this from the road, because between the road and this building is the main house. And all that vegetation out there, I can attest, is all scrub oaks, which are probably, 8 feet tall. So the idea of being able to see this is nearly impossible, I would say.
Okay, that's fine. You go. Thank you.
Okay, John, thank you. Let's see, Diane.
No, I don't think you're going to see it, and it's very short, and it is Pacima, and you won't see it.
Okay. Well, I think that we might be able to approve this.
Approved, submitted.
Okay, Diane's made a motion to approve as submitted. On that motion, John.
Aye.
Thank you. Carrie,
Aye.
thanks. Jesse,
Aye.
Diane on your motion,
Aye.
and I'm in favor. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, we still have a garage, so let's take a look at that. The
So
garage is up front.
correct. That is closer to the road. It's still probably about 120 feet from the road, but all the details are to match the existing dwelling. The overall height is 25.8. Try to keep it fairly straightforward. The north elevation is the side that would face the road. And so we intentionally try to keep that fairly simple and austere, if you will, and look forward to the comments from the board, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Evan, can I start?
Of course you can, Diane. Go ahead.
It's very simple. That's a garage. And why is it at 25 feet?
Yeah.
It doesn't belong at 25 feet. If it's a garage with an apartment over it, it's 24 feet, but not 25. And number two, I'm in my remembrance of the Pacimo Road going down Village Way and stuff, is the land up in front is higher and then it dips down as it goes towards the water. I think as a garage, this is too big. Everything else has been kept very simple. The guest house is simple. This is not simple. So I would like to see it simple. I'd like to see the dormer reduced and the other dormer. I just think it's a little overwhelming for a garage with the building we just approved as a guest house and the house and the main house, because this will be seen, particularly at the size going down Pacimo Road. That's all.
Okay, Diane, thanks. John.
If you go down Alexandria Drive, I think you're going to see quite a bit of this. Go back to the north elevation. Could you jump it up a couple of notches, please?
There you go, John.
Okay, all right. All right, my question is, the meeting rail is supposed to be in line with the gutter line, and they're way above it. They're about 5, 10, about a foot higher. They got to come down the meeting rails, or else break it off flush, one or the other, whatever we usually do. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, John. Well, it's the same board. So Carrie?
I don't have a problem with this building. I think it's probably in keeping with the scale of the house, which is what you'll also get a glimpse of down the driveway. And as a garage studio, granted, it's a little tall for a garage studio, but maybe not. Really, I think it's a nice looking building.
Okay, thank you. Jesse.
Yeah, I agree with Carrie, and I think it's a very traditional, two-story garage. It does seem a little on the high side. I guess my question is, in scale with the house, what's the elevation of the house? Do we have that? Versus,
you mean what's the ridge height of the house?
I'm sorry, ridge height of the house. Yeah.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I believe, Jesse, the ridge height in the main house is somewhere in the range of 28.6, somewhere in that range. So it's not quite 30, but it's definitely north of 28.
And then can I look at the site plan again? Does it have elevations on it?
We do have topography there. The grade does slope up, so the house is located on the higher portion, and so we've indicated some retaining walls. And I know that I believe a landscape plan has been done. I'm not sure if you've actually approved it or reviewed it, but we did show, as part of the HDC approval, we did indicate what the finished grade would be at the house. And so I think the board was aware of that. So basically, I think that the house is set probably somewhere in the range of 24 to 36 inches, higher than this garage. So
Yeah. So, and in addition, it's a couple to a few feet, more than a couple feet higher, from a structural standpoint. So it's definitely lower than the building. Yeah. So I mean, I have no problem with it as is. If there's any ways to squeeze a little height out of it to help, the rest of the board be happy with it, that'd be great. But I think it's a nice design, traditional story and a half garage.
Okay, thank you, Jesse. My only issue with this is the height. And I do believe, Matt, one of the difficulties with doing a Zoom session is we can't put our scales on the drawings, but I've been looking at these dormers thinking those windows on the second floor looks like they have 8-foot high head heights. If we have, a 10-foot ceiling on the second floor, and that's sort of like my metric, I think it could come down a foot, go from 8 feet head height on the windows to 7-foot high. But I think that the point would be it's 25 what now?
I would say 6.
24, 6.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to
25,
see
8, 25, 8.5, Mr. Chair, sorry.
Yeah, so I would see, the other thing I should have said is I would be less concerned about this if it wasn't the closest building to Pacimo Road. So I think getting a foot out of the ridge of this would be really beneficial, but also quite easy to do. That's my vote. Yeah.
Could I offer a suggestion, Mr. Chair? So typically on the second floor, we might have windows that are 7.6 or 7.4. But to your point, I probably could easily take a foot out of the height of this. So if that's the primary issue with it, I can certainly agree to do that.
I think basically the ridge height is what's preventing you from getting an immediate approval on this, honestly.
Happy to take the foot out.
But I motion that it be approved through staff with a foot taken out of the height of the building.
Love it. Okay, which I think would incorporate, Matt, dropping the dormers down accordingly so that those dormer tops don't wind up right at the top of the ridge. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yep.
Okay, so Diane has made a motion to approve this 1 foot lower, that the ridge height coming down by 1 foot. On that motion, John.
Aye.
Thank you. Carrie.
Aye.
Very good. Jesse.
Aye.
Very good. And Diane on your motion.
Aye.
And I'm in favor. Motion carries. Thank you, Matt. Thank you for working with the board. Now let's see. We got Arrowhead Drive addition. This will be in the rotation. This is going to be Carrie and Stephen. And if somebody could tell me when Val appears back on the scene, and then we can go back to the normal routine. Okay, hit it, Matt.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. So this is a proposed addition to an existing building. It's in an industrial area. It's set back from the road, probably about 80 plus feet. There's a contractor shop, a contractor's office building, and actually this is a residential unit. There's a recycled, relocated barn, cow barn from a property, I think, out in the Pulpus area. And so the applicant is seeking to do a second floor addition. Well, it's a first floor and a second floor addition. Probably the most telling elevation is the south elevation. And you can see the existing south elevation in the middle of the page on sheet A2.1. And the proposal here is to essentially put a second floor above the existing garage portion on the right and above the existing.
Hey, Matthew.
Yep.
I'm going to need to recuse from this because this building came off of one of my sites.
Okay.
So sorry to do that to you right now, but
No
Diane,
worries.
can you
Yep.
chair this, Diane?
Yep.
And let's see, Val's not there, so you'll have all three of your associate members on this one. And then you'll have,
Okay.
That's
okay?
a great picture. Good
Thanks.
Thank you.
So, sorry.
No problem whatsoever.
I'll mute for now. Yep.
Yeah, no worries.
Okay,
Thank you.
you go
So-
on, Matt.
So, Madam Chair, I think this is actually a great shot because this is, again, from Arrowhead Drive, which everyone I think is fairly familiar with. It's fairly industrial. You've got boat racks, next door, a lot of commercial metal buildings. And so this shot here demonstrates the visibility from the road. And that would actually probably be indicative of the east elevation. And so visibility, you will see this structure, but the gable end is what faces the road. So yeah, it would be the east elevation. These are just shots around the existing building. Again, pretty industrial, and try to maximize or match all the existing trim details. There are existing solar panels on the structure, and so we're trying to relocate those. So that's pretty much it. That's all we have. Pretty straightforward, pretty simple. And that would be the elevation that would be most visible from the road. Again, given its industrial nature, I feel like it's not that imposing, and it's also about 80 feet plus from the road. So with that,
Okay.
look forward to comments from the board, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. The front of it is the west elevation, right?
East.
Yeah, so the front kind of faces inside. Well, actually, the front of the building, what I would consider the front, is the south elevation, and that faces inside the property. If you look back at the site plan, you'll see that this building is set all the way back in the back corner, the kind of northwest corner of the property. And so the quote unquote face of the building actually faces into this concrete, parking court, if you will.
Right. Well, my
and-
only concern was if we do this fool around with this, what happens to the solar panels?
Yeah,
Will
the
it?
solar panels actually get this is something that's fairly important to the owner to basically be able to reuse those solar panels have all been approved to reconfigure them on this new roof format. I would also say that the roof design and the massing schematic was a pure function of maintaining southern exposure so that those solar panels would stay in their same orientation, again, not facing the road, facing the interior court of the property.
Okay, because it looks like they're on the front, so I just wanted to make sure
Yeah,
that
no,
although
the
they're
east
not being
elevation would be,
removed.
yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say the east elevation is what faces the road, but again,
Okay.
that's 80 feet back from the road, so.
Right, that's fine. I just wanted to get that location done. Okay, thanks, Matt. Let's try
Yeah.
Johnny.
Yes.
I
Hello.
would like, what do you got to say about this?
This, if my other comment is the solar panels are perfect where they are. They're high enough. They can reach the sun, reach where the sun sign goes. And it's appropriate here. It's not in the old historic area. That's the main thing. It's out of town. I think it's ready for approval. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Carrie,
I agree with John. I think this is a good addition to this building.
okay. Stephen,
I disagree with John. I don't think I could disagree more wholeheartedly. Sometimes I think he does this to razz me. The solar panels, the architectural aspects of the addition are fine. If I understand this correctly, it may or not be moved. The existing structure, Matt, through you, Madam Chair, is the existing structure going to stay in its current location?
Yes.
Okay. So if we go to sheet 18, please, in the presentation, the images.
there you
And
go.
take it up a few clicks. So there's really no reason, to my mind, and in keeping with our guidelines, that the solar wouldn't stay where it is on the existing structure to the left of the garage, and the panels on the garage could be relocated to the left of the solar panels that would remain in place. Could we please go back to the front elevation? Front being with respect to the doors. That would allow the solar panels to remain firmly on the southern elevation.
Right.
Could you take it out just, yeah, take it out just a little bit, please. Yep, and a little more, show the whole upper, yeah. There's plenty of space there for the solar. It gets it off the primary mass, and it's in keeping with our guidelines. Lastly, I would just point out that the entire island of Nantucket is a National Historic Landmark. So whether it's in the OHD or not, solar is an important aspect of Nantucket's future. However, the discerning factor is not whether it's in the OHD or the Sconset Historic District. Thank you, Madam Chair.
That's absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Thank you. So,
Madam Chair, could I just point one thing out about the panels?
Yep.
About their placement, and this is Stephen, just because we did actually look at that when they did the solar analysis, because of the path of the sun, if they are on that secondary lower roof, they actually don't capture as much solar exposure. In the previous iteration, they kind of captured all day, but basically because the addition is there, it would actually cast a good amount of them in shadow, not only because of the addition that we're proposing, but there's also an adjacent building to the south that cast it. So we did look into that. I did suggest that, and was told by the solar consultant that they wouldn't be very useful. So I just wanted to point that out. Thank you, Madam Chair.
okay. Thank you. Thank you. So what does anybody want to do?
I'm up next, I believe, Madam Chair.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes.
It's okay. No worries.
Yes.
As for the architecture of the building, I have, and I believe the garage, Matt, if I'm not mistaken, was an addition to the barn.
Yes, yes, exactly.
Yes. And then the barn itself is pretty much staying intact. You're just removing the garage part and adding this 2-story element.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, I think that's a nice way of adding what you need for this project, in keeping with that old barn part that came from Pulpus, I believe. As for the solar, and with all due respect to Steve, which I have tons of respect for, and the board for that matter, and I believe the guidelines for solar it was before my time on the board. But I've been wanting to say this, and and I know it's kind of cheeky, but solar is renewable energy, and if we don't start being more careful about using renewable energy, there's not going to be an island to preserve. And and so I strongly believe that solar has to be protected in the downtown areas in Sconset. But when it comes to an industrial area like this, I think that we need to embrace solar, and I have no problem with the solar application on this application. Thank you.
Okay. Well, I think that the building is good. I think it will look well there. The position of the solar panels, Steve has probably seen that part before, and whether it isn't visible because the dormer is facing the gable is facing the end. It faces into the parking lot. So you would see it from a distance, but it is not primarily on the front of the building, I think. I think that it is a lot of solar out there, and I think it's a good idea to have solar, but I also feel that it needs to follow the guidelines that we have, because once you get like this, they'll say, oh, well, I mean, once you get something that's questionable, the people next to them say, well, you got this, so we should have it, and we should have it, we should have it. and at the 400th pool down the street, it becomes a problem. So think about it, and then let's see what motion is made that we can.
I'll make a motion, Madam Chair.
Okay,
I'll make a motion to approve, subject to the solar being moved to the existing structure further to the left on the south elevation so that it's not in the shadow of the new mass.
okay, gotcha. So you would be moving it over past those two French doors, right?
No, yeah, I mean, they can orient it however they want. It's just, there's plenty of room on that roof. So that's my motion.
Madam Chair, can I just point out one thing, and through you, is just the other issue, Stephen, is that there's the building to the south of it that casts shadow on the rear section of that low one-story roof. So I did ask to do that, and I said, well, we could slide it even further outside of the shadow line, and it's because the building next to it is a 30-foot tall building, and it casts a shadow on that left side of the roof. Because I thought the same thing. I asked about it, and they told me in no uncertain terms that it wouldn't. The panels would not be effective there. So for what it's worth, thank you, Ms. Madam
Okay,
Chair.
well, let's run this motion because this is what we have, and if it fails, we'll try something else. Johnny,
Yes,
are you a yes?
yes,
Jesse,
aye.
I guess a sustain, I guess, yeah.
this is a motion to move the solar panels onto the other roof.
Oh, this is wait, that's not the motion. That's not
Yes,
what
that-
Steve said.
That is the motion. So what do you want? How do you want to
I'm
vote?
sorry. The motion was to move the solar panels that are existing onto the new roof. Is that what you said?
The lower roof out of the shadow of the larger or taller building. There. Kadeem is showing you where they are.
Yeah,
Where,
okay. That's not the motion I heard. Is that a new motion? Am I getting confused here?
no, that is Steve's motion.
Yeah, I mean, if they're being moved into an area where they're going to be able to be used properly, I have no problem.
Can I just, I don't think that the owner will actually agree with that, but it's a motion on the table, so for whatever it's worth.
Let's go through and see what Carrie says. Carrie,
I would say aye, but I would have also said aye with where they are.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly. I mean, it makes more sense, I think, where they are in the
They
application.
need to function.
Madam Chair,
yes,
I think we need to have Terry repeat the motion. We need to go through the motion, take a yes or no vote, and go from there, please.
okay.
Thank
Okay,
you.
so
Okay, the motion as I have it is motion to approve through staff with the solar moved to the left of the south elevation of the existing structure out of the shadow of the proposed addition.
Right.
Correct,
Thank you,
Stephen?
Terry.
That's correct.
So
Is there a
now-
timestamp on that? No,
8
forgive me.
hours
Go ahead.
ago.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Now,
So-
Madam Chair,
Yes.
if you could take the vote, just a yes or no from our
I'm
members,
about to
please.
I'm about to take the vote again on that motion. John, what is your motion? What is your wish for this motion? Do you want to say aye or nay?
Aye,
Okay. Jesse,
I'm going to sustain.
Carrie,
I think I'm with Jesse. Abstain.
all right, and I'm a nay. So it does not pass.
Can
And I
make a
won't
motion-
register a vote.
Can I make a motion to approve as submitted?
Yep. So we'll put it through that way. Carrie,
Aye.
Johnny,
Aye. Get it moving.
Stephen, Stephen,
I'm a no, Madam Chair.
okay, and I'm an aye, so I believe the motion passes with the as submitted. Thank you both, all, thank you all. Okay,
Thank you, Madam Chair.
all right,
Thank you, Diane. Val's back, I think.
Yep.
Okay.
Mr.
So-
Chair,
Yes.
I just wanted to take this moment, if it's okay with you, to just remind the commission that when you abstain, you're not making a vote for yay or nay at all
That's
for
right.
Robert's rule.
Right.
So I just want that to be clear, that people know when they're saying abstention, what that means. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
Sure, thanks. Okay, 33 Main Pool House.
Oh, I'm sitting off this one too. Sorry.
Ah!
I'm sorry.
It's okay, it's okay, it's okay. So let's see. All three of you were on the last one, so we'll start at the top of the rotation, which would be Carrie and Stephen. Okay, let's go.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this is an addition for a pool house. It's 33 Main Street. It's set back
33 Main downtown or Sconset?
in Sconset.
Sconset, okay.
So it is probably about 200 feet, roughly from Main Street, set both behind the main house.
Oh, yeah, well, I remember.
Garage, guest
Right.
house.
Yep.
And the pool has already been approved. And so this is a very simple, intentionally small, one-story pool house. It measures at 15 feet in terms of its ridge height. If you're familiar with the existing main house, that's got a series of hip roofs. And so we thought the hip was the appropriate way to handle that. There is fenestration facing inside the property, but again, I don't think it's going to be visible really from any public way with the vegetation and there is a house directly. It's surrounded basically by structures. So with that, all the details are intended to match the main house. And with that, look forward to comments from the board. Mr. Chair, thank you.
All righty, thanks, Matt. Holly.
Yes, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to mention that I do have comments. SAB actually didn't get a chance to look at this. There was some confusion on the location, and it was put on HSAB's agenda instead of SAB's. So long story short, they didn't get to review it, but I do have comments. So this is in association with Hilltop, which was built for Charles G. Coffin, who was a whaling merchant, obviously during the height of our whaling era. The main dwelling was built circa 1848. It does obviously consist of hipped roofs. So thank you, Matt, for bringing that consistency to this outbuilding. I did want to notate that it may, because this property a few years ago, I guess, added additional land behind it, which was allowed room for this, the pool that has already been previously approved. I do question that it could be visible from Bunker Hill Road, which is behind and over the pool, which is in between 5 Bunker and looking over where the pool would be. And I only bring that up because of the 4 ganged windows and that 6-panel sliding door. I will notate that it will not be visible from historic Main Street. And I also did want to mention for the record that this property is actually right outside of the Sconset HD, but it's right on the border. Give you some context of, maybe this really should have been a long time ago, but it actually is not. So of course the proposed fenestration is not SDL or TDL, but SDL. So those are comments, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Holly.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
before we start, could we just get a piece of information?
yeah.
It's this I don't see in our pre-packet. And it's hard to discern what the actual height of the doors are.
So you would like to know how tall the doors are?
Yes, please.
7'4". I think it's on the schedule or
I just saw a schedule there. Yeah.
7'4".
Thank you.
Okay. Do you want to start, Stephen?
Yeah, are there pictures of the house? Great. And what are the door heights here, Matt?
You know what? I actually don't know off the top of my head, Stephen. I'm guessing they're at least 6'8". Could be a little bit taller, but I've been inside the
Okay.
house and I'd say between 6'8" and 7.
Okay, and can we please go back to the site plan? Thank you. Yeah, I would say I think it's appropriate. I'm not terribly concerned about the over fenestration on the west, other than the overall height of the structure. But it's not it's not in our guidelines, so I'm not going to push it. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Thank you, Stephen. Diane, you ready?
Yeah, I will not vote on this. I was against the pool and I am against this. It is right next to the end of the old historic district and it's an old building and I can't do that. So that's it. Thank you.
That's fair enough. John? John?
Yes, I'm here. I'm looking at the, could you go up 3 notches, please? On the site plan.
Oh, on the site plan. Okay.
Let me just see what, I still can't see it. It's too small.
How's that?
Okay, existing garage, guest house. Okay, thank you. Yes, I went out, made a couple of viewings out there in the past for this place, and I looked at it. It's quite a bit of hedges all the way around. Now, if you're standing out in the street looking in, I don't think you're going to see this. So I can't make any comment on it right now. I'll just wait and see what happens with it. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, I'm at a loss. Who was my
I think it was me.
Yeah, I thought so too. Okay, go ahead.
I appreciate the low profile of the building. I do just think it's too much glass on the front. If it's seen from the side street through the through the trees and stuff, it's just not, the density of Sconset having 6 doors, and I would try to reduce them and maybe put kick panels or something to mitigate a little bit of that glass.
Kick panel is a very good idea. Yes, it is. And Matt, can you do anything for us on the number of doors?
Certainly, Mr. Chair, I was just going to offer, I could actually drop the center doors to just maybe do 4 so we can kind of have them slide out and then maybe go window.
You mean, so what we'd be looking at is like in the middle of the thing, we would see 4 doors, and then on the outer flanks, you would have windows instead of doors.
Yeah, just to probably be a single window.
And kick panels?
And we can add the kick panels, yes.
All right. What do you think, Carrie?
Yeah, I think that would be good.
I'd do it for you.
I appreciate
Okay.
it.
So I think we can motion this to approve with 4 doors on the west elevation instead of 6, flanked by double hung window, I guess casement windows on either side. I can't really tell what those are. And kick panels on those doors. Could somebody make that motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Carrie. Okay, Carrie's made the motion. On the motion, Diane, we know where you are, right?
Right.
You're opposed.
Yes.
John, on Carrie's motion.
Would you repeat the motion, please?
Motion is to approve this just with 4 doors rather than 6. Actually, there's 7, but 4 on the main elevation. 4 doors with kick panels, and then windows on either side where Matt is now showing doors.
Okay, the motion was to approve. Aye.
Yeah. Okay, so John's in favor of, Stephen?
Yeah, I'm okay.
Okay, and carry on your motion.
Aye.
And I'm in favor too, so that motion carries.
You.
Okay, thanks. Now we're on to Chip Webster. I'm going to mute just for a second. Lisa's going to ask me a question. Hold on a sec. Okay, I'm back.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
before we get to Chip's applications, I just wanted to let you know that I did receive an email from Andrew Cochin asking that we hold 27 Fair Street and 29 Fair Street. I know that we possibly have some
Oh, good.
abutters in the waiting list that are going to
Right.
be waiting for that
So
application.
for those of you who are tuned in for Fair Street Andrew Cochin show, it's not going to happen tonight. We've preempted the Andrew Cochin show. Okay, that's not for a while yet, right?
No, yeah, it's a little while.
Oh, I see. Yeah, actually, we would have gotten to that, but we're not going to because
possibly. And I do see people here, and people are continuing to enter the room. So I just want to get that known.
Sure. Okay. Thanks. All right. So do we have somebody here for Chip Webster's project?
Yes, Chip Webster here. Can you hear me?
Yes, can hear you. Okay. Val Oliver,
Yes, I'm back.
you're back and you're on this one?
Yep.
Okay, so let's see. We just did Carrie and Steven. So Jesse, this is to you, friend. You on?
Hey, I'm here.
Okay, let's move forward.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Chip Webster here on behalf of the applicant. This is an application for a new dwelling at 34 Easton Street.
Can I ask a question, buddy?
Yes.
This is John Johnson's old place, right?
Yes.
That's correct. That's
And
correct.
there was no link on our agenda, so.
Well, but so new dwelling would imply that the existing one-story dwelling is going to heaven.
Right. Well, the ACC has already reviewed and approved that as a move demo.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was not on that. So, okay, I stand corrected. Sorry, just.
That's all right. That's all right.
Okay.
So
Gotcha.
if we can start with, that's fine. Start with the photographs, maybe. I think that's a good place to start.
Chip, did you, they're here, Holly?
Yeah, the photographs go right
Got
back.
it. Here you are.
There we go. So if we can blow in a little bit, what I started with here was doing some historical research on what types of dwellings were the original dwellings along Eastern Street on the harbor side. So looking at historical reference number 1, you can see that the typical forms for houses along there were pretty simple, rectangular masses that were either 2 stories or in many cases 3 stories in height, with extensive decks and porches. So if we slide over, so from historical reference number 1 to historical reference number 2, this also shows that you can see in the foreground on the right-hand side, there's a 3-story rectangular house, and the other ones further along, you see the 2 off in the distance also. So very simple forms with porches and so forth. If we scroll down a little bit beneath the historical references, these are existing houses along Eastern Street, also on the harbor side. So you can see in the current time, street side reference number 1 and street side reference number 2. Again, 2 to 3 story, massing, very simple forms, sliding across. We can see also reference number 3. So this was historically, so this is what we use to inform us in our design for the house. If we scroll down, I think there might be a couple of other images. So this is from the water side, again, showing that the water side, porches, decks wrapping along the water side of the houses. So now we can go down, please, to the proposed elevations. Let's go to there we go, the bottom elevation on the right. This is here we go, zoom out a little bit. So this is the proposed street side elevation. As I'm sure everyone knows, this is in a floodplain. So the floor level is as low as it can go with allowance by the flood plan. It's a simple massing. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. We picked up the roof overhangs are large, and we added some bracketing to be consistent, and then the articulated the posts on the skirt, and then the vertical skirt boards between the posts beneath the house. Okay, we can continue. This is the east side. Again, pretty straightforward, simple massing, and not much. All of the windows are the majority of the windows, except for the ones in the dormers, are all the same size throughout the house. If we scroll down a little bit, we can see the west, proposed west and water side. West is on the top. And then on the bottom, you can see proposed water side, again, picking up the porches and decks along that side of the house. So there we go. I turn it over for comments from the board.
First, we're going to get comments from HSAB, I believe.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I do have comments from HSAB. To kind of address your comment about the existing structure, that was the 1960s Seward Johnson building. Right. And I do remember while the board was discussing it, there were some comments from commissioners about whatever was going to go in its place to kind of be a little bit lower. So I just wanted to bring, like that building, just want to bring that into the conversation. HSAB took a look at this on October 25th, and there's quite a few of comments. This building is very tall at 34 foot 10 inches with no break in the ridge height, and there is no real additive massing. This should have a dominant main mass facing Easton Street, and the rear masses should be reduced in height and scale. It reads as one massive rectangular block, essentially from lot line to lot line. The sides should have a break in the walls where a corner board is indicated. The front porch should be used to enhance the architecture of the building, but instead it is monotonously stretches from edge to edge, and the roof pitch is too shallow. The rear deck facing the harbor should also not go from edge to edge, and it should have a break in the length. The deck and porch details are lacking. The front door is particularly odd and as a 9-light door with massive side lights. The fenestration all around could also be used to enhance the architecture, but instead it is repetitive and awkwardly spaced, especially facing Easton Street. The harbor side has 6 identical window door units, creating the appearance of a commercial hotel building rather than a residence. The large square 4-light gable windows are completely out of scale and inappropriate. Overall, the building presents an oversized, out-of-scale commercial hotel annex. This neighborhood should have a more sensitively scaled residential appearance building. From staff's perspective, I agree that this proposal is lot line to lot line, and I would refer to the existing dwelling for a little bit scale. I do appreciate the photos that were provided as reference for the existing historical context. It would have been nice to see dates of those historic photographs, of getting an idea, because we all know that Brant Point has had a phased kind of development pattern. Some structures obviously were built in a high style, some of them are not. What style is this architecture going for? The proposal is very overwhelming on the lot. The porch posts are really not appropriate for this area, and I would want to reference the fenestration. 6/6 or maybe a 2/1 would be more appropriate, not 2/2. That's more of a kind of a Victorian and obviously contemporary style. Also, last but not least, HSAB does request revisions back if the commission is so inclined. Those are the comments, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Holly. Who would like to start on this one?
I can start, Mr. Chair.
Very good.
I'm going to be quick because I got a feeling that my fellow board members are going to say a lot, and as they should. But I would love, if it's at all possible, if this goes back for a revision, to see a comparison to the old building. I feel
you don't want to see that.
It's a one story.
The old building was about I don't know, 15 feet wide and.
Okay, was it was in the pictures, wasn't it, that he's
No.
provided?
Nope.
Oh,
It's still
okay.
there,
I thought,
though.
I thought he was referring to pictures.
It's so
of the-
small, you can almost not see it because there's 2 trees in front of it.
Okay. So we're basically dealing with a new,
Oh, yeah.
okay, my apologies. I thought there was a particular building that was continuing to be in the pictures, and I thought that's the one that got removed. So with that said, I'm going to let the more experienced board go before myself, and because I see some small detail things, but I know there's a larger thing going on here with the size and massing that I would rather listen to my fellow members.
Okay.
Thank
Thanks, Jesse. Who's next?
I'll go.
Thanks.
I agree completely with HSAB, and what occurs to me from the historic photos especially is that there is this sense of space between each of the structures where I think this is going to be just like one big block next to the buildings on the side of it. It'd be nice to see a nod back to some of those older styles, which really on the water side had covered porches. So we don't know what the glass is behind those, but definitely the water side, which is the south, is too repetitive. I felt the same way. It's like trying to emulate the hotel, which is farther up the road. The roof pitch is rather shallow. I agree about the porch brackets. It's kind of a mix of things. That's not to say, Chip, I like the simple massing idea. I think you just need to take a nod back to some of those pictures that you did give us and give it a little bit more of that era. So
Okay.
there's warts and bumps and, you know.
I'll go.
little- Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Val. Diane, go.
I think unfortunately, it's a really ugly building. I think it has no charm. And most of the buildings that go down there have got some charm. They may be big and clumsy, even some of them, but they had some charm. This should not go from sideline to sideline, and it should have some additive massing. They, even with these pictures that Chip has included, they all have additive massing. Look at street side reference 3 and street side reference 4. They've got levels that come down and break it up. And those porches out the 2 porches that are exactly the same on the, I don't know which elevation, I've lost the elevation now, but it's the 2 porches that are the same are right there. That is, I also agree with Hashab. It looks like a badly designed hotel. The mulled windows and then the other windows, there's no particular reason for having the mulled where it is. And then the dormer, I think it's on the west, the dormer with 3 windows crammed into it. It needs, unfortunately, from my view, it needs to be done again and given something. There should be a chimney in it to break up that roof. How long is the ridge?
The building's 58 feet side to side.
Yeah. So I think that it needs to be tried again.
Okay, thanks, Diane. John.
Thank you. I find the house itself, as I see it, could we go up 3 notches, please? I can't read it. And can we leave it up there on 3 notches? Thank you. All right. There's no writing. Explain, okay. There you go. Okay. What is the height of this?
34 feet.
I'm sorry,
34.
34?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I find the windows are all harmonious to itself. There's only 3 types of windows. I think the front door with the stairs there, that door should be changed. There's more glass than there is panel. So they should make a larger panel on the bottom or put in one of them other doors that has the tall panels on them. That ought to be changed. And the pitch on the roof on the left side, I can't read that. Could you analyze that?
7 and 12.
I'm sorry?
7 and 12.
7 and 12. Okay. Thank you. Those are my comments. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. John. Yeah, I'm not going to add to the pain. I completely 100% agree with everything that HSAB said. And a lot of the other board members have recapitulated. So I think that we can A, move this for some pretty major revisions, and B, send it back to HSAB for a re-review.
So moved.
Thank you, Diane. Diane's made that motion. On the motion, Val.
Aye.
John.
Repeat the motion, please.
Motion is to hold for revisions and to send back to HSAB once those revisions are complete.
Thank you. Aye.
Aye. Okay, good. Jesse on the motion.
Aye.
And I'm in favor. Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, 24 Washington Street. And this one is going to be back to Carrie in the rotation.
Mr. Chair, I just wanted to mention before, I know this is Chip's as well, but for the benefit of Chip and the commission, I was remiss in not mentioning that last application also needs to follow Resilient Nantucket, specifically Chapter 11 for new construction. So Chip, let me know if you get any questions with that, please.
Okay, great. Thanks, Holly.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. Okay. So now we're at 26 Washington, and you have Carrie on this.
Yes.
Wow.
Well, okay. So the reason that you have the photograph of this is that this is a photograph of the stamped approval that we are proposing to make revisions to. But when we look at the drawings, you'll see the same drawings again for reference in this. Okay, so you can see the existing approval on the street side elevations in the upper left. And then that previous photograph was just showing that that was from the stamped approval. So this is an interesting project because it is not only in the flood zone, but it's in a velocity flood zone, which drives the required floor level, as you can see, very high. So this is placing the first floor level as low as it can possibly go with the floodplain requirements. The first time that the previous approval, you can see had a gable facing the Washington Street and also had the stair facing Washington Street.
Yeah.
And our proposal here is to change the direction of the gable and then to move the entry to the side so you don't have that tall entry stair. So in our opinion, it makes it a little less rocket-like, for lack of a better word, a term that the BCC has used in the past on other projects. So by switching the gable, we have an E facing the street, which I think brings down the perceived verticality, as well as by relocating that entry stair, getting that otherwise large stair off of the street side. We also, as you can see, made the main mass a little wider when we rotated that, such that in the original approval, the distribution between main mass and addition was about 50-50. And now we have the main mass about 60% and, or 65%, 35%. So that is the west elevation, which again is the street side elevation. If we look at the east side, which is the water side, if we can look at the existing approval first, or maybe just zoom out a little bit so you can see them both together. They are, there's substantially the same on that side. You can see in the distance behind that elevation, the rotation of the street side. And then if we scroll down, we can see the east and the north and south. The existing approval and the proposed, the biggest change on this side is relocating that stair to the side of the building on the south elevation. And if we go to the north elevation, you can see here, again, the most substantive switch on this is the rotation of the ridge on the street side mass, which in this drawing is on the right-hand side. And then the addition of a couple of decks in between the front and rear masses also on this side. So we go ahead, turn over to the board for comments.
Okay. Holly?
Yes, Mr. Chair, and I apologize. I don't think I followed when this original COA was approved by the commission because
A couple years ago.
Okay, the existing structure that's up on the lot is a 1950s colonial revival. Is that going to be removed completely, or?
Yes, that was approved some time ago for a move demo. When we went in for the original approval.
Less than 3 years ago?
I think so. I can double check. I'm not 100% certain.
I think that's very imperative.
It was several years ago, yeah.
Okay.
Worth looking into, yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Thank you, Mr. Chair. So HSAB does have a plethora of comments as well as myself, it was the previous approval should have really been in here, especially with the time lapse. So it was very confusing of what's going on, what's happening. So their comments on this revision is it's completely inappropriate to move the front door to a connector piece halfway down the side of the building. The front door must stay on the front of the building. The salt box shaped gable on the south is very awkward. The connector and rear wing should have lower plate heights, less than a full 2 stories, and the ridge of the rear mast should not bump up, but should be even lower than the connector. Ideally, the ridge of the rear wing should be rotated to perpendicular to the main ridge, rather than creating a competing gable along the sides. The roof walk belongs on the main mast, not the connector. The fenestration is too repetitive all around. The harbor-facing French doors should be 2 panels, not 4, and also not be so repetitive from floor to floor. Overall, the proposed changes are in the wrong direction and need to be completely rethought. I also wanted to mention that HSAB does request revisions back if the commission is so inclined for revisions, as well as, again, with changes to this COA, we do have Resilient Nantucket. I understand it wasn't inactive at the time of the original approval, but any changes to this would have to comply again, Chapter 11 for new structures. Those are the comments, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Okay, thanks so much, Holly. All right, who would like to start on this?
I'll go.
Thank you, John. Go ahead.
Thank you. Could we go to the aerial photo, please? Oh, we got it there, right there. Okay, could you go up 3 notches and keep them on 3 notches, please? This is getting irritating. You can't read this stuff. Now, maybe it's my
John. Just so you know, the reason that it isn't always zoomed in is because when we zoom in, we can't see the whole drawing. We can only see a portion of it. So when you want it zoomed in, we're happy to zoom it in, but it can't stay that way all the time, or you don't get to see everything all at once. Okay, so continue, John. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, all right, take me to the east elevation, please. Okay. Okay, that there is that's the previous approval, okay. All right, this one here. East, all right, east elevation. How far is that from the west of the building to the property line? It's on the water side of the street.
Wait, what was the question, John?
The question, what's the distance between the road and the west side of the building?
Let's go back to the site plan. I think we might be able to approximate that one for you. Okay. Oh, there it is. Well, so it's showing to the property line, but if you zoom in on that, it has a dimension.
Right.
35.7.
35.7.
All right. Okay, thank you. Could we go back to the east elevation? Thank you. All right. Now this is putting a tenement look on that street. That there's no 2.5 story tenement looks on that street. So I think it's way out of proportion to put all this glass up there. The general rule of us is that no other than there should be no glass more than 50%. They're all going to be under 50% of a wall surface. I think we're getting away from the HTC guidebook. It's a shame. We're just putting personal taste in there. And I stick by the old stuff if I can. I think they have a problem here that's inappropriate for the neighborhood. There's nothing like that there. Even you get down past the salt marsh. They've got a small place there, but it's not like this extended with three stories. I think this is completely wrong. We ought to jump all over it, the rest of us. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Who's next?
I'll go.
Thank you.
I think, Chip, your previous version was much better. It just seemed to fit in the street, sort of reflecting what's there and then evolving it. What faces the street without a door seems a little bit formal. I just think the proportions of the previous iteration were better, as well as the fenestration. And I agree with HSAB about things like the roof walk being on the main mass and all of that.
Okay. Thanks, Val. Let's see, Diane.
Yep. I remember this building, but it took us a long time
Yes.
to work it out. Long
did.
time. I remember going over where the front door is. I don't remember having to have it as high as it is, but I remember that it was higher and it was the first building along there. I don't know, it went on for a long time, as I said. I would like to see, I don't know, it can be, I don't think the roof walk should be on it. All it does is add more height to the building. It's being that it's totally square, it makes the 2.5 stories high. It's such a big building, and actually along Washington Street, which goes across the bottom of Fayette Street, on which I live. Even the Gawaki's house had more fixtures and it didn't look so big. And that was the other big house on Washington Street. I don't know, because I can't see the site plan so much, whether you have room on the sides, but it shouldn't look like that on the harbor. It is a harbor house. It should not look like it could go up anywhere. It is not consistent with what is along there. As you look at the other buildings, I don't believe that they're as high as this one. I don't know whether you should make it shorter so you can do however high the foundation is. Make it 1.5 stories, not 2 stories, but it needs to be reduced in size. I would like to have it go back to HSAB, and I think that their comments and Holly's are right on point. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Diane. Carrie.
Yeah, I agree with HSAB too. And I'm having a hard time like grasping the formality of the front elevation on this in this particular area and the scale of it. And then the massing with the ridges going parallel, the roof walk in the middle. I feel like some typical telescoping and maybe 1-story pieces in the back. Just the overall width on the rear elevation. I don't think there's an elevation like that on the harbor side, except for maybe down on the wharves where they're double, porch with a deck above, but those are tiny little buildings. And this one reads as just overscaled in this corner. I think that, the fact that you have to be out of the floodplain, I think it makes for the need of a much more sensitive massing above that. And I think this, it's not being sensitive. That's
Okay.
all.
Thank you. I agree with everything HSAB said. Everything the board members said, actually. The fenestration, you've added more to what already had a lot of fenestration when it was approved a few years ago. The other thing I'd like to just note is the gable forward thing with the steps coming down the front actually added an element of detail and grounding that this front has like zero of. There's none. It's just like towering right out of the ground with nothing to bring it down to anchor it. And I think that the staircase was an element that actually helped to do that. And I also think that the gable forward thing was a sort of a humanly scaled gable that is not unlike the gable that's there now. So whoever said it was a step backwards, and I believe that may have been an HSAB comment, I think I completely agree with that statement. So I think we're looking at some revisions on this guy and sending it back to HSAB once those revisions are complete. Can I have a motion?
So move.
All right, so Diane's made that motion. On that motion, Val?
Aye.
Thank you, John.
Repeat the motion, please.
To hold for revisions and send back to historic structures.
Thank you. Aye, I'm in favor.
All right, very good. Carrie?
Aye.
Very good. Diane, on your motion?
Aye.
And I'm in favor too. Motion carries. Okay, 307 Pulpus Road. This one is going to include Stephen Welch.
All right, everyone. Hello, Chip Webster again on behalf of the applicant at 307 Pulpus Road. Why don't we start? So we have some photographs here. These are photos of the existing site from Pulpus Road. This is photo right here shows the driveway. So there's a shared driveway for 305 and 307 Pulpus. You can see from this photograph, there's an existing house that's already on the property that is a small house that's going to become the guest house that you can't even see at all. And the proposed main house, if we go to the site plan, okay, so there we go. So this to the left of the page is Pulpus Road. The proposed new main house is to the right of the page, i.e. to the south, and you really won't see it at all from Pulpus because you can't even see the structure that's currently existing that's in front of it. Okay, if we look at the elevations. So the idea, you can see it's sort of picks up barn elements. It's a proposed board and batten, multiple sort of additive masses of varying heights. I think the elevations sort of speak for themselves. That's the east elevation, north elevation, west, and then at the bottom is south, which faces to the back of the property. So again, if we go back, I think, again, there's no visibility from Pulpus whatsoever. If we go back to the photos, you can see this is the site. Okay, so I turn over to the board for comments. Thank you.
Can I see the site plan again? Actually, the locus, I'm sorry. There we go.
So the proposed location, see where it says 307 on this locus?
Yep.
Where the number 307, that's where the proposed location is for the main house,
Right.
on the locus. Okay.
And what's that road?
It's not a road, it's a shared driveway for 305 and 307. You're talking about to the west?
Yeah.
That's correct. That's the drive
And
for
how about,
305 and 307.
how about the road off to the east?
Road to the east. There's
That's one of those trails that goes into all the land bank and conservation foundation property.
I think, right, you're speaking to the east, where the number 311 is?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so that's in the cranberry bogs. So I don't know what, there might be an access road through the cranberry bogs or something. If you look at, oh, we don't have a Google photo, I'm sorry, but that's what that is over there.
Okay. All right, Chip, thanks. Who would like to start on this one?
I'll do it.
That was you, John, right?
Yeah, if you nobody wants to, I'll tackle.
No, you go ahead. Go ahead.
Yes. Okay, thank you. This is the east elevation. Okay, where is the front door, please? Which elevation?
Through the chair, the front door, there we go, is, if we look at the, scroll down a little bit, please. On the north elevation, it's all the way to the right. Right there.
Right. Now say that again. What elevation is the front door? It's going to be the front door.
The north elevation, right there where the cursor is.
That's the main door?
Correct.
Okay, fine. I'm curious. The windows are appropriate of 2/2s. They match themselves, but there's a couple of casements on the, I can't read that elevation, and the decks beyond 8 feet. They ought to be checked up back to 8 feet from the wall. And could we go to the south elevation, please? That's south, okay. South would be towards opposite the cranberry bog next to this.
Correct.
Right, yeah. If they can leave, let me say that between this property and the cranberry bog is only one lot. That's this one. And this one here, I think if they look at that, if people would know and viewed this, they would see what happened there. The guy down that runs the place next to the restaurant. Anyway, he lives out there, and he all his trees, he separated them all out, cleaned them all out, and he cut them all, I think 6 to 7 feet high, some of the limbs. And it's a beautiful view right underneath all those trees. And that's what I'd like to see possibly with this lot, if they can make a better change visually that would help the neighborhood and try to match the neighborhood with that instead of all this glass. There's too much glass on this south side. So you got to make some change and put one door. Well, there's no doors there. There's just that one is a front door on the left. You got the same door on the other side of the house. There's one there. Now you go to the other side, north side. No, yeah, he's got one over here on the right. So you got two front doors. And I'm just saying that it doesn't look appropriate the way that door is made and printed with all that glass. You got enough glass on that wall already. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you, John. Who's next?
Is this, could I ask a question?
Yeah, Diane.
Is this the old Hollywood farm?
No,
No, that's further towards Sconset.
it's
This-
next to Phil Olsley's.
Yeah,
Oh.
this, exactly.
Right.
Gotcha.
Was
Well,
that it?
No, I would say that it should be a little more rambly house, as you
More
find
what?
along Pocus Road in that area. Not two stories high. What is the full height over the chimney?
Let's zoom in.
2911.
30 feet.
30 feet.
Yep.
It should come down. The guy who cut the trees down, which is, I guess, down a little bit. I thought it was right across from Quay's, or maybe the old duck pond. But I'd like to see a little more informality in the house. Over on the east elevation, that is a porch underneath the above porch.
Mm-hmm.
And is how far out on the second floor is that? It looks more than
More than 8 feet.
How much?
More than 8 feet.
Yeah, it looks like more than 8 feet. It should come in. It's behind all this land is land bank and the cranberry bogs. So I think it should fit in a little better. I would like to see some simplicity brought up and a little more additive massing. Everything is 30 feet in that area is pretty high. I'd like to see some of it broken down. You have enough room on your site plan to do that and to make it less imposing, I guess is the word I would like to use. Thank you.
Okay, Diane, thanks. Val.
I agree with what's been said. My favorite elevation, or to me, the most pleasing, is the east. I almost wish that was the front because it gives you that additive massing feel and sort of a presence of what a main mass is. The secondary mass that's attached to the middle center mass needs to break from it. On the south side, it's higher eave line, and on the north, it's just one big continuous roof. The north is really what you'll see when you come in the driveway. Now, I don't think we'll see it from the road, but it's just a little bit unusual with the small mass to the right being the front door. And
yeah,
the porches are not integrated. They're just appended to the side of the building, which I think that would make a huge difference, I think, if they were cut into some porch roofs. The main deck you guys are talking about is 14 feet. Just needs some more finessing and maybe remassing.
Okay. Thank you, Val Oliver. How about you, Stephen?
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I agree largely with what's been said. If we're going to do particulars, I think on the east, it's the proportion of the massing is off. So in particular, the dormer to the right side it just seems like it overwhelms that little addition. Likewise, on the north, it seems like the main mass overwhelms the 1.5 story structure on the left of that elevation. That I think is the most visible. There's a lot that's atypical, and I think subject to this not being visible and there being some type of add-on that vegetation would be supplemented as necessary to maintain that lack of visibility. But I'm not against revisions. I think they're in order. And I will note that to the east, that lot it doesn't necessarily show it, I think, in the site plan. But some of that is the bog, but it's clearly owned by the Conservation Foundation.
Which
So
is,
who knows what their plans will be in the future is my point.
well, also, and it's publicly accessed.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm out there on
Yeah.
my bike all the time.
Yep. And no one mentioned the barn board, but
I was
just
about to.
Well, you know what, Mr. Chairman, I'm going to bite my tongue and let you go for it.
Okay. No, I was gonna. My first comment was going to be, I'm surprised that nobody's mentioned. Oh, Steve, you finish.
No. Go ahead.
Are you finished?
I'm totally fine with it. Go for it.
Okay. So I'm surprised that nobody mentioned the barn board, but I can't say that anymore because Stephen actually did. But diagonally across the street from this, we're all very, very acutely aware of a vertical board siding that we approved on a main gable that looks absolutely, completely horrific. And now we're trying to figure out a way to mask it all over. So that was just on one gable. This is like the entire building. I agree with Val on these sort of like little appended porches that are not integrated at all. And I agree with Stephen, who said that there's a lot of kind of chaotic elements, like atypical elements. Like, which elevation was it? It must have been, take me away from the east and the north and go to the west and the south. Like the little Juliet balcony that's kind of sandwiched in. Oh, there it is on the south elevation, which faces out to the bogs. You got this little Juliet balcony, like sort of perched between four windows, and then this massive chimney that comes up the middle. So I'd be looking for some, and then there's, I don't know, triple hung, whatever those windows are, those big vertical windows. Okay.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, John.
I have one comment. I think I said something backwards. What I was trying to say on this property was that on the trees, don't cut the trees down. Somebody said cut the trees down. I said, no, you trim all the brush out from underneath and put it maybe in grass or something else. And I just saying that I just want to correct that. I'm not for cutting trees down.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I knew what you meant. But in any case, doing anything would increase the visibility of this, and that would frighten me. So can we have a motion?
Motion to hold for revisions.
And yeah, okay, so that's good motion, Diane. On the motion, Val.
Aye.
John.
Aye.
Thank you, Stephen.
Aye.
Diane, on your motion.
Aye.
Ray, on the motion, aye. Okay, that's that, and now we're at 11 North Mill.
All right. At least we're going to end with what I think is an easy one after three that maybe weren't that. So this is 34 Prospect. It's been, the new address is 11 Mill, but its previous address was 34 Prospect. It's I think it's pretty self-explanatory. It's a proposed door and window revision in a connecting link that's not part of the original structure. It was an added mass, I think, from the 1980s. So I don't know what to say. It's pretty straightforward.
Does this have HSAB? Holly?
No, Mr. Chair, for some reason it did not go to HSAB.
It's in.
But I'm questioning if these are because we previously received and you all reviewed and it went through staff for approval, changes, and I believe it was this elevation. Am I not correct on that, Chip?
I remember.
But this was
changed.
Yeah, so I'm sorry, go ahead.
You go.
If
Chip.
I remember correctly, we asked to not have that door in the front.
Exactly.
Yeah, so what happened was there was a revision. There was a proposed minor thing that you are correct, and you approved it with keeping that one door the same. And then they wanted to move things a little bit, so we're back with that, with a movement from that. So Can we look at the other side? I just want to check something. I just want to make sure that this is.
Yeah, you're revising
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, so let's go back to the front elevation. You're absolutely correct. So these are minor modifications from what was approved, but you did ask that door on this elevation stay the same. So we would be happy to make that door stay the same as is existing, because that was something you'd asked for the first time we were here.
Okay. So let's.
So in other words, the proposed revision on this side would be simply that 8/8 to the 2. The 8/12 to the 2 8/8.
And then on the back side, we've got the other stuff.
That's right.
Okay. All right. So rotation brings us to Jesse on this one. So Jesse, you there?
Mr. Chairman.
Hang on a second, John. Jesse, are you there?
Yes, I am here.
Okay, very good. Yes, John.
And this request is for a door and 4 windows, am I correct?
Well, that's on the one side that you're looking at right now. And then on the other side, he's going from 1 window to 2 windows.
Yeah, because I read it up top, but it's not there.
What do you read up top?
Mr. Chairman.
2021. Yes,
Mr.
Kadeem.
Chairman.
Oh, hello.
Hang on. Kadeem, yes.
I believe Holly's correct. This was something that we looked at beforehand. I was searching for this in the email, and we're having a lot of difficulty with this recently. This email was actually received on September 9th, so I do not believe this is the application we're supposed to be looking at. Chip would know best, but I don't think this is the correct one.
That might be the reason why that door is, we might be looking at.
So it might be best to hold this one for the electronic submission or for just more information or something, Mr. Chair, but this is not the correct one that we're looking at currently.
Yeah, that
what I believe you already.
Kadeem, I believe you're correct. Yeah.
Oh, move.
Okay, so we're going to hold this one.
Yes.
Because
Correct.
I don't think we're looking at the right application. So we're going to hold this for clarification on the proper application.
Yep, that's perfect, Mr. Chair.
Okay, so Diane, that was your motion?
Yep, that's it.
Okay, so Diane's motion is to hold this for clarification on whether this is actually the correct application that we should be reviewing. On that motion, Val?
Aye.
Aye. John?
Aye.
Very good. Jesse?
Aye.
Thank you, Diane, on your motion.
Aye.
I'm in favor, motion carries. Okay, Chip, there you go.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening.
Okay, Linda, you there?
Yep, I'm here. These next
Somerset,
two,
let's
you
go.
have to, these next two are not visible from anywhere.
Let's see them
This
and
one,
let's be the judge of that.
yeah, well, go back and look at the site plan.
11 North Mill.
No,
No,
that's
no,
not.
no, I'm sorry. No. 12 Somerset. Sorry.
There's 12 Somerset.
Yeah.
It's, no, don't go to that map, but that's the lot, but go to the aerials.
Yeah, this is going to be highly visible, I can tell.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
There it is.
All right. You got it.
Not visible. There's some
Okay,
window
so what are we
changes.
looking at?
Window changes, a dormer.
Okay. Hey, Linda,
Yep.
your person, your associate, we got to change that. I don't like calling somebody an associate member. I'll think of something, but Carrie is.
Alternate.
Yeah.
Alternate.
How about really cool
Carrie's sitting on
volunteer?
this application.
All right, in a nutshell.
Cub Scouts or something.
All right. In a nutshell, the existing house was built in 1997 with snap-ins.
Okay.
This owner took the snap-ins out. Some are still around, lying in the basement.
Okay.
The new windows came in to match the old windows. We didn't realize that. They are 1/1s. All the snap-ins were removed from the original part of the house. They're 1/1s now. You can't see it. There's a small copper roof on that little piece to the right. I can't, because your pictures sort of cover what I'm doing. And there was a dormer taken off, a dormer put on, another
You know,
dormer.
we
taken
didn't
off.
get these before time, so it's
Yeah,
hard.
I was away in New Jersey with family issues for about 8 days, so I couldn't scan from down there.
I
Okay.
know, but this is
So,
a problem
there's a-
where,
All right, either way, it's not visible. It's behind two other houses from Somerset, behind a bunch of bushes from Somerset. It's 250 some odd feet off
Okay,
the road.
let's see the other elevations.
Yeah. The reason why he's done all that is because he bubbled every window.
Okay, so there's the south. Let's see the other ones.
That's east. That's where they added the dormer right here. They took it off the top and put it down there. There was a dormer that was around the other side, but they moved it over here
Mhm.
on the back side of the structure.
Okay, continue.
I think that I had the larger ones so you could see them better.
West.
West, yeah. And there was a change in a dormer here. One was taken off.
Okay, how about, what do we got? North, left?
I think north left, that's the backside. They have a walk down now. And then you can see that dormer on the left that they added. They took a dormer off the right.
Okay.
There's just some remassing.
Okay, Linda, thank you. Board members.
I'll take it.
Thank you, John.
Thank you. The front elevation, please.
There it is, John.
That's the front.
That is the front, yes.
Okay, could we go to the back, please?
The north,
So go to the north, yeah.
north elevation.
Yeah.
Oh,
Here's your north, John.
okay, could we go to the east, please?
Use this.
Yeah, you gotta memorize this stuff.
Yeah, no, that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah, what did I see here a minute ago? Is there a well built around under that gable? It looks like it built around the gate, around those three windows, those triple windows.
That was existing when they built the structure in 1997, not visible. I don't know why that was there, but that's the way it was built. That's the original part of the house.
All right, how about the 3D windows on the left and the dormer?
That's the new dormer on the rear of the property.
All right, well, what are the windows? Are they got buttons in them or are they solid?
No, they're single glazed like the rest of the house and they're fixed, not awnings.
They're 1/1s?
Yeah.
Yes, they are fixed.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, John, thank you. Diane.
I'm here. The windows that are in the gable over to the right of the chimney, those aren't being moved, right?
No, we're not touching that. That's part of the original house.
Well, I don't know whether those three windows in that little gable to the left are too many. Well, they don't look like they're 1/1s. They look like they're ones.
They are actually
They are
one.
ones and they're fixed and they're on the back of the house, 300 feet away from the road.
Okay, Linda, come on. Let's just hear what Diane has to say.
Let me grab I got the east. Let me grab the south.
Oh, it disappeared.
That's right, should.
There it is.
Okay.
That is still west or east, I believe.
That's what we just see. That's the east. There's the east.
Sorry,
Do we
Diane,
have-
what elevation did you want to see? South?
South.
No, I saw south. That's not being changed. Or in that main gable. Linda, are those three in the west elevation, that gable with the three windows together mold is not being changed, right?
No, that's part of the original house as well, along with the three to the right.
One of the few things that's not bubbled.
Well, they bubbled every window, but those windows
Okay,
are already there.
continue, Diane.
Okay, well, I don't know. I guess there's not much one can do because the windows that I don't like, they're not being changed. That's the
Okay.
way it is. So anyway, that's fine. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Diane. Val?
I think based on where it is and the existing house, it's fine. It could have probably, gone a lot quicker if we had the stuff ahead of time. So
Mhm.
just saying, if we don't get links, we're gonna start bumping stuff.
Okay.
I agree with that.
But other than that, administrative,
Fine.
yeah. Okay, you're good.
Mhm.
Carrie, was it you? I forget.
Yeah, it's me. I have nothing to add.
All right, nothing to add. Okay, and Ray Pole is fine with this. So should we move
Make
this?
a motion to approve is submitted.
Sounds good to me. Thanks, Diane. On the motion, Val?
Aye.
John? John?
Aye.
Very good. Carrie?
Aye.
Diane, on your motion?
Aye.
And I'm in favor. Motion carries. Thank you. Now we're to 12 or 14 or Lowell. This shed.
Shed.
That just won't die.
Square foot shed. No, that's not that shed. This is a different shed.
Okay.
We're not going back to that shed. That shed's twice the size of this shed.
I think we already approved that shed.
Well, we need one more structure over there, so let's have it.
Well, it's not on that lot. It's on the back lot.
It doesn't matter. It's ridiculous.
Okay.
This is a 80 square foot shed. It will have white trim, white windows to match the house, like everything else in the neighborhood is white on white on white. And the barn doors will be natural to weather. And a wood roof.
All right.
Not much.
Actually,
it's not visible.
Okay. In terms of rotation, we're at Stephen. I should have said that earlier, but comments from the board.
Mr. Chair,
Oh, yes. I'm sorry, Holly.
I
Yes.
don't have HSAB comments, but from staff's perspective, I just wanted to give you the following, that I do think that this is a typical shed. It does seem a little tall. I just was questioning if the pitch matches the new dwelling that you all approved, a 1012, if there's some correlation between the shed and the main dwelling. And then back to the site plan, I would think it would be helpful to have a site plan that was inclusive of all the items that have been approved thus far for both lots. So you can actually discern whether or not this is actually going to be visible. I don't think it's going to be, but that information on the front lot would be extremely helpful. Those are my comments, Mr. Chair.
I do have a picture from the front with an explanation if you want to go to the photographs, whoever is.
Well, I want to get in. We can be showing those, but a couple of things. Stephen is going to ask how tall those doors are, because the last time he asked that, they were quite tall and we were able to get the building down. So how tall are those doors?
You have to go back up to the drawing. It's right there, 7 feet.
Okay,
7
okay.
feet.
The other ones are like 8 feet high. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Who wants to start?
Before you do that, Mr. Chairman, go down to number 8 on the pictures. I guess one is the first one is the second. That is where remember, that's where the front house is located. Remember, there's an addition coming out the side and there's a shed on that right side. So that whole open area going straight back to that other little shed, which is where the arrow is.
Okay. I'm not sure that you're making a point that needs making.
Well, Val asked if it was being blocked, and there is more coming here on the front house.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Who wants to start?
I'd like to, please.
Stephen, go.
Excellent. Thank you. Could you knock it up 3 clicks, please?
4.
4. So that red arrow is meant to be back there by that wrap of shingles. Is that right?
Yes.
That's to indicate the shed
Beyond it.
location?
It's
Beyond
beyond
it? Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. And can we go to the site plan, please? I think this is a great place for solar. Oh, no, this is a shed, not solar.
Don't give me that.
Can we go to the shed, please? The elevations? Yeah, it's tallish, but it's appropriate for the location. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Stephen. Who's next?
Aye.
Go ahead, John.
I think it's very appropriate as to 460 that I know of on the island. of having little sheds. I think it's appropriate. I'll move approval.
Okay, I only counted 459, so I'd love to know where the 460th one was. Okay, so John, that was a motion?
Yes.
It was, okay. I'll take the motion, but if anybody has any objections, feel free to voice them. So John's made a motion to approve. On the motion, Val?
Aye.
Okay, Diane?
Aye.
Very good. Stephen?
Aye.
John, on your motion?
Aye.
And I'm in favor too. Motion carries. Okay, now we're going to happen off to 23 Prospect. And
I want to put those off to Thursday, both of them.
What's that?
I'm going to put those off till Thursday.
Oh, okay. Can somebody move these to?
So move.
Thank you. Motion is to hold 23 Prospect, both of them until Thursday. On that motion, Val?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
And this would be to Jesse because he's the next one in line. Jesse?
Aye.
All right. John, on your motion? Or who? No, Diane on your motion. I'm sorry.
Aye.
And I'm in favor. Motion carries.
Okie dokie, guys. Have a good evening.
Okay, good night. All right. Now we're on to old business. Hey, October 19th, old business. Board on this one. Do we have Tim, by the way? Tim?
I am here.
Okay, very good. Okay, the board on this application is myself, John, Diane, Val, and Stephen. Let's go.
Okay, so we took your recommendations from the last time we tried to present this. We had mostly all the panels facing south, facing towards the street. We have since put them on the east and west elevations. And as was part of our original application, the owner will be re-roofing. And as you can see, that's a gray. It'll be going to a much darker color, maybe a black, but not exactly sure. She has not selected a color or manufacturer, but it will be essentially a black roof. Just don't know exactly what color. So looking at that elevation that's up there that we just went by, you'd only be able to see the edge of the solar panel.
Okay. Oh, the thin edge.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, Tim, thank you.
Thank you.
Who would like to start on this one?
I will.
Go.
Thank you, Tim. I would
Thank you,
like
Val.
to say you are always so cooperative, and it's amazing to me how you can make things work on different. Oh, it's not viable.
A little bit of a
Thank you.
magician like that. Yes, I agree.
So thank you.
Okay, thanks. Who's next? Stephen?
Yeah, I'll go, Mr. Chair. I think if we could please go to slide photo, the third picture. Number 7, page 7. Yeah. Okay. And then if we could then, so that's okay. And then number 8. I think that tells the story right there. It's, I would prefer to see, a tree in the, forgive me. If we go back to the site plan, the image, the one with the, I'm sorry, number 6. Yeah. Just north of the number 1, where the curvature is in the lawn. I think if there were a deciduous tree there, for the better part of the season, visibility would be blocked. And I think the tree structure would be sufficient in the winter to block that edge.
Oh,
That's
the edge, to block the
Yeah,
edge.
because if you go to the number 8 again.
There you
Yeah.
can see, you're right. You can see a little bit more of the face of the panel. We were hoping black roof, black panel, it would kind of blend in. But
I just, because, Tim, my concern through you, Mr. Chair, is that if we're going to be going against our own guidelines that were established, many years ago and reviewed by a large group of community members, stakeholders, both in the renewable energy side and also preservation and so on and so forth. The town's energy work group and energy committee, there was a couple different committees involved. I think if we're going to be going against those guidelines on the face of the vote, on the face of what's presented to us, we need to be able to demonstrate what the mitigating factors were. So to me, that's a helpful mitigating factor when you take into consideration the oblique angle and the distance from the street.
Hey, Stephen.
Yeah.
What you're proposing would require them to reroute the driveway, right?
No, they just got to pop a tree in there along the left side as you go up the driveway where just past the apex of the curve. Yeah.
Okay.
So, if I could to chime in here for a second, probably looking at that elevation, the second post in from the edge of the deck from the right side, right about there. Yep.
Yeah.
In that little green space there, you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I might add, I mean, it could just be a simple ornamental tree due to the fact that the roadway, the visibility, the angle is lower. It doesn't have to be some large tree, an elm or something at a later date. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thanks, Stephen. Diane?
No, I think that will solve the problem.
Putting the tree in?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're in favor of the tree. John?
Yes, sir.
What do you think?
My question is, I'm all for solar power in a lot of places. And I have no objection to it going here, whether it can be seen or not. What I don't like to see is in the old historic area. Thank you.
Hey,
All right.
Johnny.
John is entitled to his opinions. Okay, so Tim, I think it would make some of the members happy if we could get an ornamental tree in that area by the second post. Is that something that your client is amenable to?
It'll probably come out of my pocket, but no. I'm not sure. I think we can do that. Do we have a height on that tree that you would like to see? Can I plant a 2-foot tall tree?
Well,
10 feet tall when it grows, 10 feet would take it up over the first floor and start to cover the edge of the solar panel.
as one who has one, I planted a crepe myrtle in my yard, a little whip of a crepe myrtle, which is a fabulous tree shrub. And it's like over the roof of my house now. Like I got to get it cut down in half. So it was tiny when it first went in. How about this? Somebody make a motion. And
I'll make a motion.
Yeah, would you?
Can we have the slide 6, please? Okay, great. So the motion is approved through staff with the roof changed to black and a deciduous tree added midway between the number 1 and the walkway shown adjacent to the house in the lawn area.
Okay. That's
Tim, and if I could just comment, Mr. Chair, Tim, just do right by the guidelines with the tree. I'm not going to tell you it needs to be a certain height or
I was only teasing. Thank you.
And to Stephen's point, it doesn't need to be really tall because the laws of perspective are going to allow something shorter than the house and still
And that crepe myrtle is, I have 5 of them. And this has bloomed since spring and it's still blooming in the middle of
they're crazy trees. They didn't used to grow here. So that's one big plus for climate change is that crepe myrtles on Nantucket now. Okay, so on Stephen's motion, Val.
Aye.
Diane.
Aye.
John.
Aye.
Stephen on your motion.
Aye.
And I too am in favor. Thank you for working with us, Tim. We'll see you. Have a good night.
Thank
Now,
you, Walter.
The next one. The
Mr.
next
Chair, I apologize. I'm going to step out since we're in old business. I'm not on anything else tonight.
Oh, well, yeah, no point in you hanging around because we're gonna, hopefully we'll be able to get through all these old business. Oh, we're missing 5 and 6. Okay, Jesse, thanks for your time.
Thank you.
And we'll see you later.
Okay.
Okay, so Diane, you're chairing this next one at 24 Woodbine. And before I sign off, I just want to make sure that Matt's here.
I am here.
Okay, I'm gonna mute for a minute.
Okay,
Bonne chance.
Merci
We've
beaucoup,
got-
beaucoup.
Oh, I'm not
Johnny?
on this either.
I got Johnny and Carrie and me. Do you want to go on with that, Matt, or do you want to wait until Thursday?
I think I'm good with this one. Yeah, I'd say this one, I think we can go ahead with, only because I think it was pretty simple. And so I'm prepared to go ahead. If I can start my comments, I will.
Yep, start them right away.
All right, so I think that everybody had looked at the application and really didn't have any issues with some of the minor changes. There were kind of fenestration changes, an outdoor shower. And so it really came down to the roof walk. And I think Carrie had the great suggestion of changing the dimension of the roof walk to go wider on the east elevation, because it was originally previously, if you look at the previously submitted roof walk, it was narrow. And I think everybody was actually pretty good with it. And I offered to say, look, let me just draw it just so you can see it. So that's pretty much it. I thought it was a really fantastic suggestion. And that's all I have, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Carrie, you start since you made the suggestion.
Yeah, I sort of never liked the roof walk on this building because I didn't think it was an appropriate building for a roof walk. But when we were discussing it and Matt didn't want to let it go, I made the suggestion to make it narrower or longer on the long side of the house and narrower on the short side. And he's done that. So I can't really argue with it now.
All right, thank you. Johnny,
Yes,
what do you think?
well, it's a story and a half. And usually you put them on the 2.5-story roof downtown. Out here, it's hard to decide. All they want is a roof walk and 2 windows
Yes.
and an outdoor shower. What's the fourth? This is, wait, what, I'm trying to say, the east elevation, please.
That's the one where you see
That's the front door.
there's the front door.
There you go, right there. Yeah. There's more glass than there is wood. That should be changed. Should always be more wood than glass.
You want the bottom ones with wood, bottom panes with wood?
Well, they can shorten up the glass and still keep the panel down below. Put in 2 panels and some glass.
Yeah.
I think the roof rock is possibly, I don't know what size it is. It looks like it's 12 by 12.
It's not as wide. It's not as, wide,
Yeah.
but it's long over that dormer.
Yeah, well, Woodbine Avenue, I guess there's a couple more out there. That's my answer and my comment. Just fix that front door. Thank you.
Okay. So, Carrie,
I've already said my piece.
so it's just me. No, I'll go with the roof walk and also the bottom panels of the 2 sides of the front door. The bottom panels should be wood up to the crossbar of the wood. So who wants to make a motion? Somebody make a motion. Carrie,
Oh, I didn't quite understand your door comment, but
the front door has got 3 panels of glass going all the way down.
oh, right, the side lights.
John wanted the bottom panel of the side light to be wood. To go
Right. Right. Okay. So Terry, did you get that as a motion?
Hey, give me a moment while I sort out everything that you guys were talking about.
I think it was
So there's
just
no, you're okay with the fenestration on the left, the outdoor shower, and the roof walk. You just want to change the front door side
side
light.
lights to a panel at the bottom to match the panel on the door.
That's it.
Yeah.
Okay. Johnny, for the approval of the motion.
I'm in favor of the motion, yes.
Thank you. Carrie,
Aye.
and I'm on the aye. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay,
Diane,
Matt.
thank you. And we still have Matt. This time I'm chairing and it's Diane, Val, Carrie. We're down to a 4-person board.
Mr. Chairman, could I ask a question?
You certainly can, John.
Thank you. On the back up to the one above it, new business. What did he do with 16 and 17, Linda's two?
Yeah, those got held for Thursday, John.
It's a Thursday. Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right. Let's go, Matt.
Okay, I'm ready, Mr. Chair. So you've seen this building a number of times before. Hopefully we are where we need to be. I feel like we've literally done everything the board has asked. We could start on the south elevation, A 2.1. We have revised the eave line, which was an issue with the previous submission, to actually lower it so that it came closer to the top of the windows. To reiterate, on the south elevation, we previously had a lot more fenestration on the second floor. We've really limited that to basically 5 windows, which, again, again, I understand the board's concerned about over fenestration. There is a really amazing view out that window, so it was a fairly big concession. So hopefully the board recognizes that. We also changed the dormers from sheds to gables, which was a request from the board. I think that was a really successful suggestion. We actually dropped the 3rd floor plate height by 8 inches, which in turn dropped the roof height by 8 inches, which was also a request by the board. The east elevation, we have again revised the fenestration to make it more evenly spread. So it's really the only concentration of fenestration is on the 1st floor, which is indicative of the core district, specifically on Easy Street as well. We significantly reduced that 2nd floor deck, so that really is essentially a really very, very, very small balcony. I think those are the major changes that you'd requested. Trying to think if there's anything else. Again, I would just reiterate that I feel like we've done everything the board has asked. I actually really very much appreciate the board's working with us and ownership, referencing those historic photos. I'm actually I think that it's a great approach in terms of the style, given the history of this area. Now I know that some of the other buildings around it aren't necessarily reflective of this, with the exception of the rear side of the Dreamland. But I do think that it's, I just want to say thank the board for their suggestions and kind of working with us. So with that, I look forward to comments from the board, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Who wants to, actually, Holly?
Yes, Mr. Chair. So at the last meeting, October 12th, the commission did ask for revisions and for this to go back to HSAB. So HSAB did take a look at this. Again, remember that this is a contributing lot with an infill within the old historic district. It does need to also follow a resilient Nantucket Chapter 11 for new structures. HSAB looked at this week, and their comments are as follows. The HDC has repeatedly asked the applicant to lower the building and eliminate the balcony. 10 inches is not nearly enough of a drop in height, and the balcony still remains. To lower the height more, the main roof fascia should drop to meet the window head casing, and the roof pitch should lower to an 8 pitch. The 5 gable dormers are too busy and essentially create a 3rd floor wall. 3-space dormers would be more appropriate. The cupola adds to the height and competes with the gabled dormers. Eliminate it. Second floor balconies on the front of any building downtown are inappropriate. The balcony should be removed. The 2 sets of triple doors leading to nowhere have no historical precedent and should be changed to double hung windows. The 3rd floor mold windows in the gable end is inappropriate and should be single. This is a very prominent corner location visible from far down Easy Street and the harbor. The applicant is still asking for too much program in this location. Trying to maintain this much floor area on the 3rd floor shouldn't be driving the design. The reduction in 3rd floor space will help steer the design closer to the proper height and scale for the neighborhood. From staff's perspective, I do appreciate the shed dormers that are now gable, but I agree 5 of them are too many. The cupola is still tall. It's a very vertical, especially on that east elevation, looking at it from the facade. Appreciate the reduction in the height to 33 feet 8 inches. The reduced balcony is still inappropriate. It's over the public space, the sidewalk. Again, that's something that is a new concept within the downtown area. And on the west, the 4 ganged windows don't seem to be appropriate. I don't think this was brought up before, but I do believe that they will be visible from looking from South Water Street down that side street. I can't think of the name of it at the moment.
What will be, Holly?
These on the west elevation, these 4 ganged windows on the third, yeah, that will definitely be visible. And last but not least, should the commission, and I do understand that this has been a lengthy process, rightfully so. This is a very prominent location and very important to make sure that this commission obviously gets this right and is happy with it. So with that, HSAB does request for this to go back, should you all be so inclined for revisions. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
Can I go?
Of course you can, Diane. Go ahead.
Okay, I agree with what HSAB has said. I have said this along, it's not anything new. 5 dormer windows up there are too many. It makes the top too heavy. The 4 windows on the west elevation should be reduced to 3 or less. I don't know whether the height can come down anymore, but if it could, it would be good. I think that probably the cupola thingy should probably go and perhaps a chimney take place to break up that ridge of the roof. The building I believe is too big and too heavy. Doesn't come as any surprise because I've said it every time along the line. That 5 dormer windows and then the 5 windows below and then all the rest of them, it's too much. And I also agree with the deck hanging out over the east on the south side, southeast side. So that's what I have to say.
Thank you, Diane. Let's see. Val. Val Oliver.
Sorry.
Okay.
I was talking and you couldn't hear me. I agree with what HSAB said completely. The changes they've requested, too many gables on the south, no balcony. We've been consistent about that, lowering the height. All of it.
Oh,
Thank you.
okay.
Yep.
Thank you, Carrie.
Yeah, I agree with Val in agreeing with HSAB and Diane. I don't really have anything else to add.
Okay.
Taking a motion to hold for revisions.
Well, I actually would like to speak if I could, Mr. Chair.
Well, and I
after
would
you.
too, actually.
Oh, sorry.
Okay. So every now and again, like I get to show off some of the stuff that I learned in college. And one of them was about scale. And so the 5 smaller gable dormers on the one side and the 2 smaller gable dormers on the other side, they actually make the building look larger. So those windows are smaller than the other windows, but like, so the example that they gave us in art school was Michelangelo's David. When you're looking at David from the ground, if you actually like looked at his head in proportion to the whole thing, it's gigantic. But because you're looking at it from down below, it's in scale. And so the same thing is true of these dormers. Like the fact that there's 5 of them with small windows actually makes the building look bigger than it is. And the idea is that it's supposed to look smaller. So I would be in favor, if we're talking about views and glass and all that stuff, of having like 3 dormers, bigger dormers with larger windows in them, and, you know, figure out the amount of glass, and you'd probably be close to having the same amount of glass. So in terms of the view, the same. So I just throw that out there because I think you had said in your opening narrative, you said, well, there was a great view from the 3rd floor and we reduced the amount of glass. But the fact is that you actually added to it, I think, because the previous submission had 4 shed dormers, right? Yeah, there it is, right down below there. So you went from 4 to 5. So that's not a reduction, that's an increase. So that's.
I was referring to, sorry, the 2nd floor, Mr. Chair.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you meant the 3rd floor. But that's all I have to say. But Matt, go ahead.
I was just going to say that the 5 smaller shed dormers were based on a suggestion by the board, based on
5 smaller gable dormers.
Yes, smaller gable dormers, correct. And we previously had 4 sheds, and we went to the 5 gable dormers. And the gable dormers was a suggestion by the board based on some historic photographs that I can, resubmit those, and those might even be part of the file actually at this point, because
I think we all, I hate to interrupt you, Matt, but the photographs that you gave us were like really super compelling, and we were all really, struck by them because, there are these like big buildings, these big simple buildings, and there is that one that has all those little gable dormers on it.
Mm-hmm. So, and that was just a response to that. So I guess I'm looking to, the tricky part about the process right now is that and this is not the board's fault or anything, but we'll wait 4+ weeks to have a meeting. I'll get some feedback, and then I'll have almost less than 24 hours to actually make revisions and get it back in, and then wait another month.
I hear you.
And it's, so I just want to, I feel like we're kind of going backwards a little bit in terms of, I'm trying to, kind of move this forward and get this wrapped up. I'm sure you're tired of looking at it. I'm sure the rest of the board is. I'm not quite like just saying like drop it and lower it. I think that we can make compelling case for some portion of a 3rd floor program. So.
Okay.
I have something to say after he's done too.
Yeah. All right. Well,
so
you haven't heard this board say you can't have any 3rd floor program. It's just how much you're maximizing that is what's
right.
Is the question.
And I just wanted, I guess that's my point, is that I'm trying to, again, we're trying to minimize it as much as possible. And again, I felt like we're getting closer here.
I'm not sure that I agree with that. Like 5 dormers on the 3rd floor is not like minimizing it at all. Like minimizing it would be to have no dormers and just have, like in the old days, you had the 2 gable ends with their windows in them, and that was it. That was all the light that came into it from the gable ends, no dormers. That's where that's the most minimal approach. And then anything that goes up from there in terms of adding dormers is increasing that and increasing the sort of heaviness of the 3rd floor. And what you're hearing from the board across the board is that that's too much. So anything else?
Okay. I think that's it. So if I just to recap the board's comments, lose the cupola, lose the deck. I think the rear gable, the west elevation's got 4 ganged windows. We can certainly reduce that. And then I will I'll take your suggestion about trying out the 3 dormers. We did have 4, and when I switched to the gable, it looked like something was just missing with that roof walk. So
Yeah.
I just wanted, that's all. I guess I'm looking for clarity on that. But I guess I think I have enough, and I don't know if Val wanted to add anything, but I think I've got what the board's looking for, hopefully.
I just want to say, I know that this process is slow. It's painstaking for us too. And this whole Zoom thing is just insane. I think that slows us down. But if you go back and review all the minutes, the overarching concerns are just addressed incrementally. And I think that's why it's taking so long.
Right.
Simple. We've asked Matt, please let me just finish. Sorry. The cupola has been a no-go from the beginning, the deck on the outside, those things, just by shrinking them in little bits and pieces isn't helping you. And I think that's why it's taking so long. So simple, go back and read all the minutes, and I think you'll have a good finished product.
I definitely appreciate that. What I was just going to say, though, I wasn't going to disagree with you. I'm just saying that, I also have a responsibility to the ownership to, not throw an element out completely to address, like, it's okay, well, let's shrink it. So anyways, all right, well, listen.
If it was a more traditional building, you could put a roof walk up there.
All right.
Yeah, I don't want to.
Let's
give them an idea.
Thank you, Matt. And we'll see you next time. And can I have a motion, please?
Motion to hold for revisions.
And we might want to throw HSAB in there.
And
right.
And ASAP before coming back.
Okay, thank you, Diane, on that motion. So on the motion, Carrie.
Aye.
Val.
Aye.
Diane, on your motion?
Aye.
And I'm in favor, motion carries. Thank you, everyone. Okay, moving along. Thanks. Okay, James is with us. So the board on this one is myself, Abby, who's not here, John, Diane, and Val. And we can pull in Stephen because Abby is not there. Is that okay with you, Stephen? I know.
Sure. Stepped aside. Oh, now he's back.
Stephen, you there?
Yeah.
Oh, you did say sure. Okay. Okay. James?
Sure.
Take it. Go.
Good evening. This was a pretty minor revision to start with, and it had minor comments back from the board. The comments that came back from the board were that the dormers that we proposed on the front elevation were a little too large for the fenestration. So what we've done is we've altered our interior plans to accommodate 2 windows. So now when you look at you can see the clouded dormers right now. What you see on the front elevation is 3 equal dormers as opposed to 3 dormers that had different window configurations, which you can see over on the left if you wanted to see the previous. Right there. Yep. That was the bulk of the comments that came back from the board. So basically we answered what the board requested. We also made a minor revision to the living room on the backside that cannot be seen. We removed another window, which we have clouded as well. So you can, that's the next page, I think 201 for that. And that's the bulk of the changes.
Okay, thank you. Very straightforward. Who would like to start? I'm gonna pick somebody. Diane.
What?
Diane.
Yeah, I'm there. All of a sudden, my sound started to disappear.
Oh.
I can hear you. You can hopefully hear me. 30, that's the best of. I don't know. The proposed south elevation with all those windows molded in the dormers up there.
Did you say south elevation?
I think it was the south elevation.
Not the front then. So
Oh,
let's go to the,
no.
here's the south, Diane.
No, it's not that one. I'm sorry.
I think you mean the north.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
North.
Well, actually, none of those windows are mold. There's shingle space between
No,
them.
I know they are. I just
Okay.
whether they were heavy for up on the second floor with such large dormers. Maybe if the dormer was smaller and pulled in a little bit, it would be better. They seem to be very impressive up there, and the bottom first floor seems to be simpler. So that is what strikes me as most. Do I have a site plan?
There it is.
So it's visible when you're going along and stuff, and it goes really at the front of the house there. It goes from sideline to sideline, both of them going over the line actually. So I don't know whether it can come in or this has been discussed, but it blocks off the whole back of the property. And I would like, if there's any possibility to bring it in so it's not running.
Hey, Diane?
Yes.
Just to be clear, the house exists.
Yeah.
So like,
all right,
James
so
has not altered the footprint. He's just adding the dormers.
Yeah, okay. Well,
Okay.
that's my thought on the dormer.
Okay.
The two outside ones, if you wanted to keep the middle one that size and then reduce the two outside down somewhat. So they weren't all three the same size. That's all.
Okay, thanks, Diane. Let's see, consult my list here.
I'll go.
Oh, yeah, you go.
If I remember correctly, this isn't a historic house. It was, I think, David and Linda Watts's house. They built it and then it got renovated by somebody. I don't know. It's, I think adding the dormers is fine as they are.
Okay. Thank you, Val Oliver. Stephen.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. I tend to agree with Diane. I think that the dormers are a little overwhelming, but I think with three hip roof dormers, you're that far away from a bungalow style, and it would quiet those gables down.
Oh, you're suggesting that they go to hips.
Yeah.
The two in the outside?
Either the two on the outside or all three of them. I think it could carry it.
I think the one in the middle is existing, right?
Yeah.
That's correct.
Yeah, but if you're going to do this work, you're going to do this work. So.
All right. Is that it, Stephen?
Yep, that's it. Thanks.
Okay, John.
Thank you. Yes. I think it would look better if it had three singles with one window in each one than to overcrowd it with the heaviness. That's my comment.
Okay.
You can have three. If you want small ones, put them in there. Thank you.
All right, John, thanks. So this house reminds me so much of the house as you're driving out Pulpus Road, just before Dead Man's Curve there. It's on the right-hand side, sits on a hill, and I wish I could remember the name of the guy whose house it was. It has like green trim. And
Maurice Gibbs.
Maurice Gibbs.
Yeah.
This cut
Still
off
there.
a few pieces and you basically have Maurice Gibbs's house exactly.
Yeah.
And I always thought that was a charming little house. So I'm okay with this, just the way it is. It's low. It's got 3 dormers. They got relatively small innocuous windows in them. So I'm okay with this. But so what's the pleasure of the board? What should we do?
Motion to approve is submitted.
Okay, we'll give that a try, Val. We'll see how it goes. Yes, Diane?
Can I address the board, Ray?
What? Hang on. We have too many people. Diane, did you want to say something?
No, I didn't say nothing.
Okay, but I'm gonna ask for your vote in a second. So James.
I just wanted to make sure I only have 4 people on this board right now. Is that correct?
No, you have 5.
I do have fully 5 with everybody.
John, Diane, Val, and Stephen was your alternate.
Oh, Stephen's my alternate that's on it now for 5. So with Abby gone, just making sure.
Yeah, you lost Abby. She was not here today.
That's my
Stephen.
That's who we traded on to. I just wanted to briefly address some of the comments. Essentially, everyone seemed to be very happy with the massing previously. They just weren't happy with the fenestration, which we addressed. And the center gable is existing. Previously, there are 2 small gables that exist to date. So if we would prefer to try to get the larger gables, and we are open to tweaks to the roofs if needed. But I would venture that that Val's motion should go forward. So I'd like to hear what everyone has to say.
If Val's motion doesn't go forward, I think that you've just pointed in the direction of what a motion from Stephen might sound like. So let's try Val's motion, okay? So on Val's motion, Stephen.
I'm a yeah.
There you go.
Ta-da!
Okay. Diane.
I abstain.
Okay. John.
Aye.
John's an aye, and Val on your motion.
Aye.
And I'm in favor. So the motion does carry, actually.
Thank you very much, guys.
1 abstention. There you go, James.
Appreciate it. Have a good evening, everyone.
Advising everything. Okay, so as we know, and I guess what we need to vote is we're holding items 5 through 7 for Thursday, right?
That's correct.
Okay. And we have an existing board on this, so I'm going to, can somebody from the existing board make
Mr. Chair, could I ask you a quick question?
Yes.
You have 5 minutes left.
Yes.
And the one after this is 72 Orange Street. Do you think you'll get through 72 Orange Street tonight?
No.
Before 9?
No.
So, because I mean, if you just hold the rest of do like you normally do, then you don't need to make a motion on these. That's kind of where I'm headed. If you just say, okay, that's the last one, see you on Thursday.
I mean, like the one that we just did is the last one?
Yeah.
Hey, that's some good thinking. Okay. All right.
I'm tired. I had a rough day.
Yeah, me too.
Thank you, Terry.
So you just saved us a lot of back and forth, all of us. Thank you. Okay, so hey, guess what, everybody? Everything else is going to Thursday.
Motion to adjourn.
Well, hang on 1 second there, whippersnapper. Hang on 1 second.
We need to approve some.
We need to approve some minutes. Yeah. Can we
October
approve?
19th and October 21st.
Yes. Okay, Val. Diane, is that your motion?
Yes.
Okay, so Diane's made a motion to approve the minutes of October 19th and 21st. On Diane's motion, Val?
Aye.
Thank you, John.
Kadeem, say goodnight, John.
John, on the motion to approve the minutes.
Aye.
Thank you. And hang in one more second. Carrie, you still there?
I am. I'm an aye.
Okay, very good. And Diane on your motion?
Aye.
And I'm in favor. Okay, so you got some approved minutes there. And now, John, you can make your motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Love it. Thank you. With 2 minutes left to spare. On the
I
motion,
abstain.
on the motion, Diane.
Aye.
Okay, good. Val's registered in an abstention.
I'm kidding.
Right? Well, you don't have to be. I think it's going to carry anyway. Stephen on the motion.
Steven's gone.
Stephen's gone. Carrie on the motion.
Aye.
All right, and John on your motion.
Aye, motion to adjourn.
Yeah,
Good
yeah.
night,
You're in favor of
John.
the motion,
Good
and I am
night.
too. Okay. Thanks a
Ray.
lot,
everyone.
everyone. See you on Thursday.
Ray,
Yes. Yes.
I did a painting on black paper.
Yeah.